Hey everybody, what's up? Stacking Surfer here, except that I'm totally backwards. Let me see if I can mirror this. Um, nope, that's just going to take me off. I don't know. I guess it doesn't. YouTube doesn't let you do that. It's you guys are going to have to read backwards. I'm sorry. So I've got OC Stacker with me. Everybody, how's it going? He's over here in the gray box, and we can't figure out how to get his icon up. So he's just going to be great today. But it's been a while since I've been on, and it's almost the end of the day here on the East Coast. So I thought I would at least hurry and get something out. Um, so hopefully you guys can hear us okay. I saw some thumbs ups. So here we go. So I think you guys can hear me. So it looks like you were having lots of fun with icons. That's always good. Um, all
Right.
right. So we've got a raid coming in here, guys. So couple things I want to hit today that we're going to talk about is gold and silver is out of control. Um, where is it going? Are we about to see $100 silver? Are we about to see $4,000 gold? And when I mean, are we about to see it? Like, could we actually see it in the next couple days here next week? So we're going to talk about that. I had a awesome opportunity last night. I had dinner with Tim and Yankee. I don't know if any of you guys have had the opportunity to have dinner with Tim and Yankee, but that's pretty fun. And I did pick up a couple Tim and Yankee rounds. So I think I might show those in a minute here too. And tomorrow I'm going to hopefully be meeting up with Silver Heist. I haven't been able to connect with them the last couple days, but we're going to go hopefully take a tour of the Mayflower 2 and Plymouth. So I think a few of you have probably heard it, but I have 20 ancestors that were on the Mayflower, so I figured I better get down here and go check out the Mayflower, see how small this boat was that people spent months on coming across the country that almost killed them. So I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. I'll be doing some videos from that. We'll be talking a little bit about that as well. So Yankee does not eat with his pinky out. But we did have some awesome Italian food, and Yankee cleared his plate. I could not quite clear my plate, but Yankee's a bigger guy than I am, and he cleared his plate. And Tim had a great salad that he enjoyed, and then we had it was like vanilla ice cream with um, almost like a Napoleon all mixed up together for dessert. That was really awesome. But the hard thing is when you go to Tim's. And one of these days, I'm going to drag OC Stacker up there. But when you go to Tim's, I think I got there at 2 o'clock, and it took me until about 6 to talk to Tim. That's how long the line is, and how long it takes to get in there. But hopefully, we'll have some fun stuff on a video for Yankee pretty soon, and then on his channel. And then, I got a chance to talk to a handful of people there. Um, I don't know what it is with signing stuff, but they had Tim, they had me, they had Yankee sign some of my stickers, some of Yankee's stickers. That was kind of fun. But we'll let you guys ask some questions on that in a minute. But real quick, while I go and find my silver, OC, tell us a little bit about what's going on with gold and silver. I know you've had to deal with a bunch of that today, even.
Yeah. That's an understatement. Um, I'm working a deal with one of our followers who wants to unload 200, or he wants to unload 20 100-ounce bars. So that was interesting today. He works or keeps himself in a vault that you have to call and get advance warning to go get your metals. The people never called him back all day, so he wasn't able to retrieve his silver. So I guess it's pushed off till tomorrow or sometime during the week. We're not sure yet. I guess we'll have to wait for that guy to answer the phone so he can let him in to go get his medals. So this is my strong argument why I don't vault. At least with these guys, you can't. I can't do it once or two or three, 4 times a year.
Yeah, I think vaulting's tricky because, okay, first off, if you have $1 million of gold and silver, I highly recommend consider vaulting. It's a lot of money. You're not going to get that insured at your house, and if it were to get stolen, if it were to be damaged at a vaulting facility, or I should say, you should never use a vaulting facility that doesn't allow insurance, but you can get it insured. And so oftentimes you're going to pay about $1,000 a year for a vault facility, and you might be paying another $500 to insure it. Um, and yeah, $1,500 a year can be a lot, but if you're storing hundreds of thousands of dollars of metals up to, a couple million, that's just a drop in the bucket. It's not really that expensive when you look at a percentage of it. Um, and it depends on where you live. If you live in an apartment, you might want to look at doing a private safety deposit box facility, never in a bank. The bank will take it from you. You'll never get it back, and they'll use it as collateral. But you do have the ability to do that in a private place. So if you can, it can be worth it. Now, if you're in a pretty secure place, you're not showing your face on YouTube, and you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars of metals at your house. Getting a nice safe in your house that weighs over 1,000 pounds, that is security rated, can be very good and very secure for you. Um, I recommend trying to get one that's not in a visible place that someone's just going to find if they walk around your house. Um, you can't really get a big enough one that matters much in the wall or in the floor. Um, I am going to be doing a live stream hopefully next week with John Eric that does the bricks that we've had a couple videos on. I know a lot of people think it's way too expensive and they think it's kind of just a novelty, but there is a use case for it. You do have the ability to put some very expensive items into one of those bricks, and that is pretty secure. You could put it into a wall and no one would know. And you could have a handful of those instead of doing a safe. If you've got a security safe or a jeweler grade safe like a TL30 by 6, that it's going to take a person a month to get into. If they put a gun to your head and they know where the safe is, they're going to get it opened. So, those are the reasons to kind of consider vaulting. But to what OC's saying, it can be a pain in the butt getting out of it. It is third party risk. And if all the lights go out, you may never see your stuff again. So
Yeah,
that's the stuff you got to worry about.
there's pros and cons of that kind of stuff, and like I said, there's different people that are in different levels of stacking. There's people that are fighting for their first 100 ounces. There's people that are fighting to get up to two, three, 400 ounces or 1,000 ounces. I mean, everybody's on a different journey. So the I'm on the lower plateau of that as far as needing to do the vaulting. I do have other sources where I keep my stuff, but I just keep enough in my safe to do business on a day to day. But for the most part, the perma stack and the big stuff is no one's going to get to it. But I have enough here if something does happen. There's enough to get us by for a few months to until we can get to it.
Yeah, so that's kind of that situation, guys. So here's the question for you. Can I don't know if I can do a poll on my phone here. I don't think I can. Um,
Hey,
let's see.
hey, can we give a couple shout outs? I'm talking to you on my tablet, but I have my PC that I do my most of my
Yeah, no, we're
stuff on.
definitely going to do shout outs. So I guess I can't do a poll in there, but I'd love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on 100-ounce silver bars? Um, and I do want to talk about that a little bit today, but do you guys think it's smart to buy those? Do you think those are crazy? You would stay away from them? But I do
Uh,
want to call out a bunch of people here, but go ahead. Go ahead and start, OC.
yeah, well, we have a mutual friend in the house, Scrooge McStack.
Scrooge is on here. I haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah, well, I just reached out to him not too long ago and chatted with him, so it's good to see him. And he is. I hope he's okay with me saying that he is a proud new father. He got married.
Congratulations.
He bought a new house and he got married and he has his first kid. So congratulations, my friend. Even though I've said that before, but I might as well acknowledge it here on YouTube. I hope that's okay. If not, you can scream at me in the chat and I'll see it. Of course, Ellie and Nine for Nines, Frank Bonds, War, Michael Stacking, Amy Harrell, Ellie, of course. Diaper changing duties. So there you go.
Oh man, the stories I have, I guess I probably shouldn't scare you, so I won't.
Well, that's that's actually a good idea. Let's get a feel for what people are thinking. Um, I've always had 100-ounce bars. I recently, 6, 7, 8 months ago, sold my last one and haven't really restocked. But me, brokering deals and doing stuff almost on a daily, I'm finding that 100-ounce bars right now are the best, way to go about it. They're going as what I've seen in well, today I've seen 3, 4, and 5% back a spot, which is calculated into $3, $4 back a spot. So if you can find people out there selling them and picking up silver on the cheap and getting it below spot, there's your answer. But there's pros and cons of that.
So Scrooge brings up a good point here too. So, um, and I've been looking to pick up some more silver. One of the problems in my life is I don't have I don't have just a bunch of disposable income each month where I can dollar cost average on a weekly basis or a monthly basis right now. I will get like a lump sum that comes in once a year, maybe twice a year. And when that happens, the timing is always kind of screwy. So one of those just came in on Thursday. And I'm like, okay, this is a perfect time to go buy silver and gold. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, all time
why didn't
high.
it come 2 weeks ago? Maybe a month ago. So anyway, I've been doing a lot of research on this. With OC's been helping me. So a couple things I think OC would be good to talk about. So one is we're finding that the premiums for silver eagles are getting larger. The premiums for gold eagles and gold buffaloes are getting larger too. So we're starting to see like $150 premiums on top of gold eagles. We're starting to see $180 premiums on top of gold buffaloes. Um, and then on the silver eagles, we're seeing about a $5 premium right now.
Yeah,
Excuse me. It's been higher in the past, but it seems like it's starting to inch up a little higher on the premiums than what we had in the past,
well,
like say 6 months.
Found Treasures is making a valid point, and I agree with them. The 100-ounce bars limit your buyers because as silver goes up, obviously a 100-ounce bar
Yes.
goes more. I mean, I like it when I have 5 tubes of 20 that I can sell onesie twosies or a tube or whatever, however people want to buy it. You're right, it diversifies you, but I think for people like, let's take this client that has all these bars. This is a drop in a bucket for him. I mean, it's nothing. So for them to liquidate that way, obviously we had to go find some heavy hitters that buy that way, and that is the arena that we work in. So we know who the buyers are. We just have to put A and B together. We're basically the brokers. And then when
It,
I get the deals like that, I try to pass them on to as many people as I can. But I can't sit on it for 6 months until people can save up the money or get it. The market, especially these days. I mean, look,
yeah.
6 months ago, it was $10 cheaper. I mean, when does it end? And look at what's coming ahead. Next Wednesday, we got Pete Hegseth called home all the generals. I've heard two stories.
Yeah. What is that about?
We're talking about, are we talking about war, or is Pete Hegseth saying, "Hey, the DEI nonsense is over, and we're going to trim the fat, and if you don't think that you can agree with this, then turn in your walking papers." And Trump said, I think this morning or today, that he plans on attending that meeting. So there's a lot of uncertainty, is all I'm saying, and that is just making the market go a little bit cuckoo, I think. So
It is. So I'm just showing off a couple of the coins real quick. So if you guys don't recognize the voice, OC Stacker's my companion here today. Um, this is the Tim and Yankee round, one of the two I picked up yesterday. Um, and anyway, they've got a nice mirror finish. But to your point, OC, there's a lot going on right now, guys. You know, there's a couple things I want to point out, and kind of what you were saying too. Um, but let me hit the 100-ounce bars real quick. Here's my problem with 100-ounce bars, and then I'll tell you the things I like. I'll tell you the things I don't like. Then I'll tell you the things I do like. The things I don't like about them is one, they are pretty heavy. So they are things that um, you got to put towards the bottom of a safe, because if they fall over, they can break other stuff in there. And it's probably something my wife isn't just going to pick up and move around and help me with, right? It's a pretty heavy bar. Um, what I'm more concerned about is the future price of silver, not today. I'm concerned about when silver gets to $100 an ounce, which I think could, if we continue on this pace, happen this year. It could actually happen, guys. But it's more likely to happen next year. But when we get to $100, that's a $10,000 piece of silver.
Yeah.
And OC, what happens if you go to take a $10,000 piece of silver to a coin shop and you want cash?
Yeah, I'm going to say this: the mom and pop stores are going to say, "Yeah, we'll give you cash, but we're going to hit you at 5, 6, 7, 8% back, or give you a dollar figure of 100 back, 200 back, 300 back, 400 back for that matter."
And you're going to have to make sure it's under 10,000. So
Yeah, then you
once it
got the,
once it goes 10,000 or higher, then you have to report. It has to be reported to the IRS.
or you carry that thing around to a local coin store, and hopefully, I'm sorry, coin show, and hopefully someone there will want to pick it up off and take it off your hands.
Now, I'm not going to tell you guys not to pay your taxes on this stuff. Okay, that's not what I'm saying here. But what I'm saying is it's now required to report to the IRS. Okay, so you've got to remember and make sure when you file your taxes that that thing's getting reported. You have to make sure you put it on there. Okay, you can't forget not to put that on there. And it can also change some of your options you have. So you want to talk to your CPA for sure. I'm not
Mm.
telling you guys to avoid taxes on this, but the reporting thing changes, right? It under 10,000 in cash, it's not there. Over 10,000, it is. And as it gets bigger, there's other reporting laws that you have to be aware of. So that could be an issue. But here's the other issue, OC. At least if you have a melter or you have a coin shop, a lot of times they can buy those bars from you. But let's say they do become $10,000, it's going to get harder. It's going to start to suck up a lot of their capital to the point where it becomes harder. The thing I do like about it, though, is one, there's some really cool bars. If you can get your hands on some of the vintage bars, they're pretty cool, like the Johnson Mattheys and the Englehards that are serialized. Cool bars. Um, and you're able to put it in a tighter form. It doesn't take up as much space in a safe or in a vault. And especially in a vault, you're paying for every square centimeter that you're storing in. And you're going to pay a much lower premium. If you guys shop it right, you should be able to get 100-ounce bars at or below spot today. If you're looking at eBay, they're asking almost $2 over spot per ounce. So I would shop around a little bit if you do look to get them. But I think that for me, I only look at them really when I find them on a good deal. If I can buy them at spot or below, and I feel like silver is going to go up, and I'm having a hard time buying other stuff, I might get them. But I generally try to stay away from them. I like to have the 1 ounce size form, is much easier to deal with. So like these guys, it's much easier to have 100 of these to move than it is to move one big 100-ounce bar.
Yeah, and Scrooge McStack makes a good point. I'm going to read what he said. He says it's only has to be reported to the IRS if you buy with 10K in cash, not if you're selling and they're buying it from you. So that's a
Okay,
good
good.
point.
That's perfect. Thank you for clarifying that. So, um,
And then we can talk to Victor in here that we can send all of our stuff to Connecticut where he's at, and we don't have to worry about that kind
so there you go.
of stuff.
Now, now
So
there's nothing that stops you from melting down a 100-ounce bar either, if you have the means to do that, right? Or like a torch to cut it in half. You could always do that kind of stuff. But know what you're getting, understand it. Don't just go buy it because you think it's cool, or don't just go buy it because of those things. Um, Okay, so we got another question in here from L. From L. She says, thoughts on government going into CBDC. Okay, we can definitely hit that.
we're not.
Before,
They're not.
well, it's yes and no. So it will never be called a CBDC again, but we are going to get the same thing with the stable coins. They'll do the same exact thing. They'll just be a little different. But we'll get to that in a minute. But
Yeah.
what I wanted to finish up, OC, is just talking about the gold and silver right now. You know, we were looking at stuff today, and the price just kept moving on us like crazy. it was getting hard to try to lock both sides of the party in. Oh, you're finding that was getting difficult, right? It was kind of moving around all over the place on you.
Well, I'm sorry. What were you talking about? I was reading the chat.
Oh, the silver price today. Trying to
Yeah.
lock in
Okay,
and
yeah.
do
So
a deal.
that ties into what I was doing today. So I got the phone call at 5 o'clock, or I got a text at 5 o'clock this morning, and said, "Hey, I need to move 20, which is basically at the time at spot it was about $90,000 in silver." I said, "Not a problem. Let me get some contacts going." Got it done, and as soon as I literally hung up the phone, silver rocket shipped like $1.06, like within 15 minutes, seconds of me hanging up my phone. So that blew all the numbers out of the water. And so how it works in our world is when you're doing with quantities like that, we have a term called locking it in. And once you say those words or text those words and you lock in that price, it doesn't matter if gold or silver drops to $1 an ounce or if it goes up to 200, you're locked in at that price no matter what. So I never lock it in until the physical gold or silver is in my hand. So
Yes.
my client was asking to lock it in. I said, "Well, let's get it first." And that's when it went Houdini on me. And then it took all day. And then it finally went 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon. He said, "Hey, dude, I've been calling my vaulting facility all day and I can't get in." So that
Yep.
posed another problem. And then most people that deal with this kind of stuff, when the market's closed, they do not do any business whatsoever. Will not let you lock it in. Will not let you sell or buy or whatever unless you have a prearrangement or agreed number. But right now, when it shuts down, that's it. I can't do anything with this till Monday morning. And if it opens up higher, and then wonderful. Then now the client gets to get more because we didn't lock it in, and the good Lord was looking out for him because look at now his silver went up $1.06, and I forget what it ended up today. It doesn't matter. I think it was up from when I quoted it. In fact, I have my notes. Hang on, let me grab my notes. I'll tell you exactly.
Yeah, it's not as good for us, but it's good for him.
Yeah. So
But
when I locked it in, it was 45.78,
okay.
and they were buying, and then the buyer was buying it at 43.94. So in a nutshell, that's where it ended up. And then and then it was 83,500 to the seller. But like I said, I wrote all that, made all my notes, and as soon as I did all that, it all went to kapooey.
No, it's
So it's never simple. It's always when it's easier, obviously, when you have it in front of you. That you had the money in your pocket, and they had the merchandise in hand, and then you do the deal. But when you do big deals like this, where they have to go get the vaulting, or they have it somewhere else, or whatever,
yep.
you rest on uneasy on that. And we can talk about the Eagles if you want to too, if you want
Yeah,
to.
so let's talk about the Eagles too. We were looking at four monster boxes of Eagles. So, two of them are sealed, two of them are not sealed. The ones that are not sealed, we'd have to go through and test every Eagle, make sure they're legit because the box is opened. The box that's sealed, we'd need to go and confirm that the receipts are right. We'd have to confirm the weight of the monster box. And you still run a little bit of risk that someone's really doctored everything. But um, the problem there is we were locking that in earlier we were trying to lock it in earlier this week where we were going to be close to $40 an eagle, and the price kept moving up. And then by the time we could kind of agree to things, we got to $45 per eagle. But the problem is the
And,
person wants cash. It
and we locked,
takes,
yeah, and we
yeah,
locked it in, by the way.
yeah, we locked it in, but it takes time to get that much cash.
Yep.
And part of the problem is once you lock in a price with someone that is not a dealer, or someone you've bought it from in the past that really understands it, it gets hard to lock the price in. So we locked the price in on a couple of them. Um, and we went back to see if we could negotiate a little bit more on the open ones. And the price of silver takes off a buck, and all of a sudden the guy is like, I don't know, I think I'm going to hold on to them. Same thing happened 2 years ago with a person in West Hollywood that called and had hundreds of thousands of dollars of silver that was purchased at $27 an ounce, and I think spot was around like 24 bucks. And so we were looking to help him, but the spot price started moving back up towards 27. All of a sudden, he's like, I'm going to hold on to it. I don't need to get rid of it.
Hmm.
So what you see is you see a lot of people getting when the price starts jumping up really high, you see a lot of people deciding that they need to hurry and sell because they're afraid the price is going to drop quickly. and they want to hurry and sell before it drops. The problem is a lot of these people, you can't lock it in. They won't hold to it. They won't stick with it. And so the point OC is making here that's very valuable is if they have the silver in the hand and you have the cash in hand, or you have the ability to wire or to do a check,
Hmm.
that's when it's best to lock things in, because you can do the transaction. Otherwise, it could take me a week to get that much cash out of the bank. I'd have to probably order it, and it would come in from the FDIC to the bank. And when you go to do that transaction, um, you have the money, but let's say silver goes up to $55 next week. By the time you get the money, a lot of people are going to walk from that deal and just say, "I don't care. I'm not going to take this big, massive loss on it."
And
So,
our only ramification to deal with that is, and this is what happens when you're in this business. If you do that one time, word will spread like wildfire that you're not a man of your word, and then when you do a deal, people are going to take a second look at you. And I refuse to let that happen to me. I tell people exactly how I do business, and this is what happened. We locked it in. We told them it's going to take us a couple of days to get the money. So after 2 days, I called them back, and of course, silver had jumped up. And he goes, "Well, now I don't know." And I said, "Well, I gave him the exit because that's just the kind of person I am. Most dealers would fillet you on a barbecue and roast you. I don't do that. We're all
yeah,
doing this
we're
to
not
help
going to
each
do that.
other.
We
Yeah,
just we're
yeah.
we're just not going to
I'm
we're
not
not going
going
to
to do
do
that to
anything
somebody.
unless the cash is in hand with that guy again. Like,
Yeah,
I just
and I told them, I said, "Hey, look, I don't have that. Most people don't have that." And I said, "Most people with that kind of deals, ACH or wire. I mean, that's the correct way to do it, to be quite honest with you. Because first of all, who wants to drive with that much silver in there on one way and then carry it up and do all the motions to go through to get the money and then walk with that much cash around back out? I mean, it's you try to be low profile, but if someone knows who you are, thus this is why you don't see me. I lower my factor. You know,
I'm crazy. I'm a little bit crazy. So, and to point out to you guys too, when we're talking about these kind of deals, like we've mentioned 2100-ounce bars, we're talking about 4 monster boxes. This isn't all stuff that we just go put away in a house safe, right? These are
yeah,
deals that a lot of times the transaction's happening in the same day, and it's going to a melter. So a lot of this is arbitrage that's going on. A price is being bought here, and it's being sold here, and you're making a small spread that's on it. And
yeah.
so a lot of times we're looking for capital that's short term that goes into it. Other times we hold on to some of this because we get it at great prices. It's one of the reasons we were doing the Long Beach coin shows until they cut them off.
Yeah. Well, hey, I want to address Mark Petty's question in here. It says, "Do dealers lock in prices with futures contracts?" Absolutely not.
Well, okay. Andy
Well, not
Schectman does, but he's the only
Andy
Andy
does.
Schectman and SD Bullion are the only two I know of that do for sure.
That's because they don't. They're not like they don't do business like we do. In other
No.
words, they get their silver on margins and they factor in what the profit is, no matter what the price fluctuation is. So to answer your question, the big boys do, but small mom and pops, absolutely not. I don't
So
know anybody that does that.
so
So
like OC, like these 100-ounce bars, if OC locks a price in today, and then on Sunday we see the international market starting to drop, for example, and then on Monday we see it drop even further when it hits the US market, um, he can be upside down and he could lose hundreds of dollars potentially. And so you have to be careful what you're locking in. Now, if you had the ability before the market closed on Friday and you want to go do that, but that's not something we get into. We don't get into the option stuff. One thing I did want to address that Big Test Unit said a little while ago. I don't know if he's still on here or not. He said, "Is it legal to melt foreign gold coins?" Um, you know, I don't know if there's a law in each of these countries that you may have a gold coin from that says you can't melt it, but I don't know how anybody would know whether you melted it or not.
okay, so what's to
Um,
prevent somebody from taking a silver eagle and going to Cuba and melting it? Absolutely
yeah,
not.
there's nothing that stops you from doing it. So, is there a law about it? I mean, maybe there might be a law that in Austria that says you can't melt Austrian coins. But it's if they're melted, they're melted. I don't know that I would sit there and melt a bunch of legal tender coins on the internet and put it out there. You might have a little bit of an issue with that, but I don't know what the laws or rules are on that. That's something you'd have to go look up. That's a good question for
Well,
AI
I'll be
too.
honest with you.
Yeah.
Who's gonna melt a sovereign anyhow? To be at the end of the day, I mean, there's probably some people that would do that but the most
Yeah, I
people
mean,
logical and understand that.
for views you might do it. Otherwise, I don't know why you would do that. Like,
Yeah, it
yeah,
makes no sense.
that's
Why would I melt the
mm-mm.
eagle that's worth $50 and not the silver buffalo that's worth 42? It makes no
Yeah, like
sense.
Eagles have $150 premium. Buffaloes are about 175 to 180 right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're throwing away money by melting those. I wouldn't do that. And then I did want to get to Elle's question. I think it was Elle's that she was asking about CBDCs. So we'll never get a CBDC in this country. Okay, so that's a central bank digital currency. The central bank is not going. The Federal Reserve is not going to issue um, a a a digital currency that we're going to use in the U.S. Okay, that ship has sailed. There's too much bad news around it. Never happened. What is going to happen most likely is we're going to, because they've now passed a law called the uh shoot, it's such a stupid name. One of you guys will have to put it in here. Um, it's the something act, right? Is anything, but um, what in the heck is it? They always make these names that are so dumb. Genius Act. Stable coins are not genius. It's a stupid thing. So whatever they call it, always go by the opposite of it. So just like the infrastructure act that they passed with the last president, they didn't put any infrastructure in. I don't know what that thing was for.
Guitar Garden's got it right. Stable coins are the CBC in a different package, which
They are.
and people
So
well, you need to tell these guys that the stable coins are tied to the U.S. bonds, and that's what makes the stable
yes.
coin trash. Because how many people raise your hands, everybody, or put a one in the chat? How many people are buying bonds right now? I don't know anybody. Do you?
Well, okay, so Sean brings it up too. So the other one was the Clarity Act. Okay, these are just dumb. It's like I don't know. It's opposite game. But what they're going to do is other companies are going to get to create these things now. They're going to be stable coins. So it's a cryptocurrency. It uses cryptography, right, to issue these things, which means they're going to be on a blockchain. Okay, it's public. So if you find out what Stacking Surfer's wallet address is, you'd be able to see exactly how much I have in there, and you'd be able to see all my transactions. I hate that. I don't want everybody knowing all the stuff I'm doing. What's going to happen is you're going to have companies like Amazon are going to create their own stable coin. You're going to have Facebook is going to create their own stable coin. Those two companies have already talked about it. You're going to have a handful of other companies create their own stable coins, and they're all going to be backed by the US dollar. And it has to be backed 1 to 1 per the law. I don't know how they're going to audit it, but they'll have to be doing that. When they go to do that, they can either hold US dollars in a vault or they can hold US treasuries, just like OC was saying. Most likely they're going to hold US treasuries. So honestly, all the stablecoin crap is really there to soak up all the US debt that's going to be getting printed here pretty soon. And if we're going to be printing as much debt as I think we're going to be printing, um, we're talking inflation, inflation, inflation. And one of the things I have studied with economics is that inflation goes in 3 waves. We ended the first wave of inflation earlier this year, and we're starting into the second wave of inflation. And each wave of inflation gets larger than the previous one. So get ready for the next 2 years to have a big inflation wave that's even bigger than the one we just had. And then I think the third one's probably going to come around 2028, 2029, and it'll last another year or two. And those big inflation waves kick in. It's not hyperinflation, guys. Hyperinflation is when it's basically moving up every day. Okay, I don't know where the exact definition goes, but hyperinflation is where it's really hard to keep track of it. Okay, so this is just going to be higher inflation. So last go around, a lot of things went up and doubled in price. Other things went up maybe 5 to 10 to 20%. This is going to be higher, and if that's going to be higher, the only way I know how to really protect your wealth and to hedge with it is silver stuff. So Tim Marshner can help you hedge. Okay, these are kind of I got one of these days we're gonna get OC's face on one of these, but no one will know it's OC. It'll just be some random dude.
Yeah. It won't be that
And
handsome
there's the
either.
Yankee side. So
Hey, hey,
anyway,
let's say hello to Sean's Precious Metals and One Species. Good to see you guys.
good to see you guys on here. I do want to
Yeah,
show you one other thing. OC, tell me if you've ever seen one of these. This is a, I guess this was a token to help people make a decision on voting. So I got this yesterday at Tim's for free from someone that was coming in to sell stuff. So this is the Reagan side of the coin, and this is the Carter side of the coin.
I have never seen that. That's awesome.
And it's really lightweight, but it's basically like a, I don't know what it's made out of. It's really lightweight. So
Sorry, LA, I forgot to hit the like button. I just
but
did it.
anyway, that's kind of cool. So you guys, yeah, hit the like button if you haven't done that already. Hit the subscribe. Growing these channels is way more difficult than I ever imagined it would be to get these things to grow. And unlike other people, I'm not going to pay to have people in other countries sign up and watch this stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
And never
anyway,
thought I'd ever hit the like button anyhow.
no, and the problem is it screws up all your algorithms. And if I went and got 100,000 subscribers, which I could do if I paid for it, um, and they're not watching your content all the time, then your view percentage goes down, and then all of a sudden it stops recommending it to people, and you just paid a bunch of money to do dumb things.
Yeah,
So
there's
we try
another
not to do dumb things.
there's another comment here that says it looks like a Charlie Kirk coin might be coming out next year. News for
I
you.
I
They're out
could
now.
I could
They're
see
out now.
that. They're talking about putting him on the on money as
Well, they're
well.
trying they want to put them on a dollar commemorative coin is
So
what
there, that's probably what they would start with. But just to finish on the CBDC real quick and the stablecoin, the reason I say it is kind of the same thing still is the stable coin can be programmed so they can make it so that it expires, so that
Mhm,
any money you put into the stable coin has to be used by the end of the month, end of the quarter, end of the year. So what happens if you sell a house for $1 million and it all goes into the stable coin because they get rid of cash? And let's say at some point the stable coin cannot be used to buy more than, or can't be used to buy any gold and silver. Now you're stuck with this stable coin, and they may have an expiration time on it where you have to hurry and go put it into another piece of property real quickly.
mhm,
um, they can take taxes immediately. So every time you send money to someone, they could take tax out and then require you at the end of the year to prove that you don't owe taxes and that you were just giving your kid lunch money. So
mhm,
there's a lot of disadvantages to using that. One of the biggest ones is there's no privacy. The government now knows everything you buy and spend. They can tell your religion. They can tell your political affiliation. They can tell whether you're a cheapskate and you don't donate money to anybody, or they can tell that you're a person that doesn't make a lot of money, but you donate a big percentage, right? And you've got a big heart. They can tell if you're hoarding. They can tell if you're saving, right? All these different things could go on. So honestly, it's something I don't want a whole lot of. But what happens when your employer, the only thing that they offer is a stable coin? And then the other thing that's happening in the UK right now is this digital ID they're pushing. They're saying you cannot be employed without the digital ID. If they
hmm.
force a digital ID on us, that's just another step in linking all of these things together digitally. And as an analytics guy, this is what I have a master's degree in, guys, and what
Mhm,
I do for work. Um, you know, it's a marketer's dream to be able to understand your behavior and what you do so that we can help you find the right product you're looking for at the right time. And if we do it in the right way, you're going to be grateful because it saves you time. You get it at a better price. And everybody accomplishes what they're looking for. If you go the opposite direction and you use it to manipulate people and you get it to try to get people to do things that they wouldn't normally do, or you want to force them into certain things,
mhm,
that's where you run into issues. And with these stable coins, there is every ability to do that. Same with the digital ID. If they have the digital ID, they can link it to your medical records. And do you want the person at the DMV knowing all of your medical history when they pull up your license to renew it? Do you want the mailman knowing everything about your household? Do you want the guy down the street being able to find out what your wallet is somehow, and being able to know exactly how much money you make and what your income is. The
Mm.
privacy just isn't there. And then, in addition to that, they can make it so that your money does not work once you go out of your city or out of your state. So I'm not saying they're going to do all those things. It's just that's all possible. Um, this stuff, this stuff right here, the silver, they can't do anything to it, right? Um, they'd have to pry it out of my hand. Is the only thing they could do with it. So, can they have a confiscation? They could have a confiscation in the form of, windfall taxes. They could have it in the form of, limiting how much you can hold in gold and silver. Um, if that happens, usually collectibles are going to be okay. But a lot of people don't think we're going to get to that route. I do think there's a strong possibility we could. So I stack a certain way to be able to do that. But at the same time, um, if something clamps down that hard, there's always going to be a black market. There's going to be people that are willing to trade and willing to take it. So I don't see it as something that is, just completely drastic and that there's no way, to be able to fix it. So, um, OC Stacker, for example, knows how to work on cars. I know he'll always take silver for helping me on my car. So I don't worry too much about that.
So let's do you mind if I share my worldly advice on confiscation?
Sure.
So this is where Surfer and I don't see eye to eye, which a lot of things we do see eye to eye. He's worried about the Confiscation Act and he wants to get more pre 33 so it can't be confiscated twice. My theory on that is, well, if you read the Confiscation Act, they cannot go after home goods. In other words, your flatware, your forks, spoons, knives, candlesticks, and that sort of stuff. So I told him if that ever happened and they did a Confiscation Act, I would just melt my gold and silver down and I would have molds of spoons and forks and I would just turn it into flatware. It's still gold and silver at the end of the day. So by their rules, they can't confiscate it. So
Can't find
there's
my charger. Okay. Yeah, so
there's my 2 cents on confiscation.
so that is true. So first off, here's my opinion on confiscation. I don't know why they would not do it. They've done it 3 times already. And if they're desperate enough, I do think they're going to do it. Um, do I think you're only going to have one option to do that? No, I think you're going to know that they're doing it. I think you're going to have an option to buy into pre 33 gold, or into other options. They never did it on silver, by the way. So your silver should be fine. The only time I think we would see a confiscation of silver is if it is so scarce to get our hands on that they need it for military use. But we've never been in a world that has needed that. So I don't think silver is anything to worry about. It's more on the gold side. Um, the other issue with the confiscation with it too is I don't think they're going to come after individuals. They may just limit how much you can have, and they may have higher tax rates, and they may have it where everything has to be reported at a coin shop. So it probably wouldn't be the end of the world. And if they do it, I do believe they're going to give you a crazy amount of money above spot price, and they'll be buying the metals from you anyway. It's just, can things get ahead of you? So if you have any concern about that, then pre 33 is a is a coin you can look at that is exempt. If you're not worried about it, then don't worry about it. Like, you just don't need to freak out over it. So in either way, do your research, go read up on it, learn
Yeah.
about it, and try to understand. I have bullion and I have pre 33. One of the reasons I have bullion is it's easy to sell. So I'd rather have money in bullion gold than cash sitting in the bank. And so I have bullion, and when I need to, I sell it. And my pre 33, I keep that in the deep stack. That's harder to sell, and it's a little bit more of a pain in the butt to deal with. And right now is not a good time to be selling it because it's the cheapest it's ever been. It's a great time to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And another point I'll bring up too is constitutional silver goes into cycles. So we'll get into cycles where people are basically hate it and they want to get rid of it. And then we'll also go into cycles where people can't get enough of it. So, keep in mind when you feel like the trend is down and you want to get rid of all your junk silver because it's just junk and no one's going to want it, that's probably the time to be buying. And when you see everybody jumping after something and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, I can't get a hold of enough of this stuff and the price just keeps going up, that's usually a time to look at selling some of it. But if you're a true stacker, you really don't trade this stuff. You're really just accumulating it. And so for me, I have my stack over here, and then I have what I do for investing. So what we've been talking about, like with the silver eagle boxes in these 100-ounce bars, I don't want 20 100-ounce bars laying around. Okay, one, that's a
Mhm.
ton of money to tie up into silver. Two, it's not a great form if you need to liquidate it. It's much harder to sell a 100-ounce bar than it is a 1-ounce coin. And so, you got to be smart about all those things. Okay,
Well,
let's see what else you guys have in the Oh, go ahead,
well,
OC.
yeah, I'll touch on that a little bit. So, for someone like myself who has avenues to get rid of 100-ounce bars, it's not a big deal to me. But you have to keep in mind that everybody's at different stages of their stacking and where they're at. So, I have an avenue to get rid of my 100-ounce bars at 5 o'clock in the morning, like this morning. Whereas most people say, "Hey, I got hit with a tax bill. I got to liquidate some stuff." It's going to be days and weeks. And if there's not a local coin show in your area that you can dump it off quick, and your LCS doesn't want it, or he hits you between the eyes and lowballs the heck out of you, what are your options? So, when you get into into our hobby, you need. It's just like entering a business partnership. You have to work on your exit strategy first before you go
Yep.
plowing in, because it's great stacking. Then you turn around and go, okay, my gosh, okay, I got this and this, and you see how diversified you are. Wonderful, but what's your exit strategy? And a lot of people don't take the time to think about that. Where when I retired, these are things I finally started thinking about. Okay, what if I retired? I need to sell this. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? That's when I started doing coin shows and learning the ins and outs of how everything functions and works, and who the real players are in the field that are honest, and the ones that you would keep a 10-foot pole and stay away from them. So, and those folks are out there, and you just have to learn how to weed through and understand who the good people are and who the people that aren't so good. So that's a high probability. So, like I said, and if you don't know somebody, get to know somebody, do some business with them, test drive them. I got people that still test drive me every day. I'm going to buy a little something here, a little something there. If you treat them right, ship them right, and take care of them, they get good product, they're going to come back. And so, I built a business out of a hobby.
Hmm.
So I'm enjoying it. There's great people in this community. A lot of people have my phone number that call and have asked for advice, ask for help getting something. Or I've had help with people that have needed to unload their stuff for health reasons or whatever. So, and I just try to treat them fair, just like I would want to be treated. Or if I wasn't on this planet anymore, they would treat my wife and kids the same way.
Yep.
So,
And last thing I'll say on confiscation too is, I wouldn't buy pre-33 gold just for confiscation, guys. Like, one, they're awesome coins. I think they're some of the best gold coins out there. Two, it's history. They're not going to make them anymore. It's not stuff you can buy today that's coming out of the US Mint. Three, it has that added bonus that they're over 100 years old. Almost all of them are over 100 years old now. And so you have something that has that history, and you have the ability to get something that potentially is rare that could go up a lot in value. So, it's just another thing to look at there. Do I go around worrying about confiscation all the time? I don't, but I do like to hedge multiple things. So that's part of my stack. But a question comes up here from Michael too. Isn't most liquid 1-ounce silver coins or sovereign coins? Um, I like to stack a mix of things, but I'm trying to go down on my SKUs in case something happens to me. I travel a lot for work, and I don't want my family to be left with, a ton of different stuff that they don't know what to do with. It's easier if they have fewer different types to deal with. But I do like Silver Eagles a lot. I do have some like Maple Leafs, and I have some Britannias. The Britannias I've had a hard time with milk spotting. Those have had a lot of milk spotting on them. Eagles are more expensive, so I try to buy those when I can get a good price on them. but the sovereign coins to me are the best coins to have in your stack from a recognizability standpoint, and also from a reseller standpoint. However, you have to watch the premiums. If you start to get to where there's like more than a $3 to $4 premium between a round, silver round, and a sovereign coin, you got to start thinking through it a little bit. Look at the percentage of that, and look at the historical numbers they've been at. Let's
Mhm.
say silver's at $45 for round numbers. Let's say you can get silver rounds at 48, $3 more. But let's say the sovereigns are going for $52. I would probably go with the silver rounds. You can get a lot more bang for your buck. Um, but I like to have different kinds, right? So like in an SHTF, I've got my uh, constitutional silver that would I would use in SHTF, and then I would probably go to my generics, and then my last coins I would probably use are my sovereigns. Um, but I like to mix it up because I don't know what's going to be popular. I don't know what's going to command a premium when I need to move the metals.
Mhm.
And so I like to have a mix just in case Eagles are going for way more than the rounds. I can sell some Eagles if I need to. But I don't think there's a perfect way to do this. I don't think it's, some people love their Eagles. That's all they're going to buy. Other people go with just rounds and they go with what's inexpensive. The only other thing I'll throw in there is some states are putting laws in place where you may not have to pay taxes when you go to sell, U.S. sovereign coins versus generic.
Mhm. So for me, another thing I'm looking at and what's happening in the world, and hopefully other states will catch on, is Florida, and they're starting to take gold and silver for buying real estate. But the avenue or that they're doing that through is kind of shady. They make you go turn it in, and they make you get a credit card for the gold or silver instead of handing you cash. So I don't know all the exacting laws on that, but at least you can use your gold and silver, and they pay you spot or for it. So if you're worried about taking a hit on your metals, if you go turn your metals in and go buy real estate, at least you can get spot or today's price on it.
Yep.
You can't get any more fair than that, to be honest with you. But then, maybe for the future, maybe for my kids or maybe grandkids when it gets to that point, and if this is passed down, that they can use it to do acquisition real estate. I guess only time will tell.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So kind of what I see happening, and I could be totally wrong on this, but I think the US is going to try to put the stablecoin out there so that they can continue to print more money, and keep the government functioning and running. Um, I think at some point there's probably going to be a lot of people that don't want that stuff. That's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I do believe that at some point others, especially other countries, aren't going to want the stable coins, and I think
Hmm.
they're going to have to be backed by gold again, to some degree, and that could come in the form of what Judy Shelton talks about with you know potentially like a I think it's a gold bond is what they're talking about. So it could be like uh, I think it's a 30-year or 50-year bond that is redeemable in gold, but doesn't pay out a coupon. Or that I guess that would technically be the coupon. It could be a peg that comes in. It could be a percentage, um,
Yeah.
that it's backed, right? But when something like that happens, your gold stabilizes. And when your gold stabilizes, then to me, it's a better time to move into real estate,
Yeah.
where you can earn
Capital
a
ro-
yield.
capital rotation.
Exactly. Yep.
So, like I said, I don't. I think next week personally. We talk about this stuff all the time. I haven't stopped buying and moving. I've been saying it's been going up for the last year, and there's nothing being done to make me think otherwise. There's scuttlebutt and silly things, but there's just too much going on and too much uncertainty. Just I don't want to get into politics, but we were hoping things would happen, and they are, but there's ramification what's happening. But I think once the tariff money starts flowing in, we start getting easing. If they stop charging a sales tax, and people can start keeping more money in their pockets on their purchasing, it's going to come, but it's just not coming quick enough. And I think we're still moving in turmoil. And keep in mind, we're still coming off the ramification of the past residents of the White House. So those have, everything catches up 6, 7, 8 months after the fact. So we got to catch up with that, deal with it, and then turn the ship around. And they're doing that. But like I said, with what's going on in Russia and Ukraine and China, and you know the assassinations, there's you know a lot of people are guarded, and I'm one of them still. And I'm not going to stop stacking. I'm not going to stop buying and flipping and building my stack.
Well, for me, it's not. I don't buy silver. I move my money from fiat to silver. That's what I do.
Same here.
And so it's, how much of it do you want in cash that continues to lose its value versus something stable that's going to hold its value? And just to clarify too, silver has never hit $50 an ounce ever in history of the United States. It's gotten really close to it twice. And so one with the Hunts brothers, which they completely manipulated it. I wouldn't really call that an all-time high. They kind of pushed it. And then in 2011, we got close too. So I think what's going to happen, and this is what I talked about with Yankee and Tim, that should be coming out on Yankee video soon, is the shorts usually show up ahead of a big mile marker, and they short it down so that it doesn't hit it. They did that at 30. They did it at 35. They did it at 40. Okay. I don't know if they're going to do it at 50 or not. There's some rumors that possibly China and Russia have enough gold and silver to do what they plan on doing with it, and that they're going to let those metals run. And they just want them to become more expensive so other countries like the United States can accumulate more. That was coming out of Hong Kong this week on X. Eric was talking about that.
Yeah, what are you and I chatting about? How China is not letting any gold be sold out of the country right now?
Yeah, they don't let anything leave. They mine a
Yep.
lot of it. They're buying all of the, kind of the pre refined material of gold and silver. And so, I think what can happen here is we can see a situation where we may see the shorts show up next week as we get close to 50 and try to really push it back down into the low 40s to the high 30s. However, if they don't show up and we go above 50 and we close for a day above 50, that's going to start to wake a lot more people up. There's a lot of people that bought close to 50 that have been waiting for like 40 years to sell it because they didn't sell it in 2011. You're going to have some people that bought in 2011 that are thinking about selling it.
Hey, I
But
have a question. I have a question for you on
yeah.
that too. What do you think? When do you think the bank is going to lose a stronghold on shorting silver and manipulating, and we break out and be done? Do you think that's in the far horizon, near horizon? What are your views on that?
Okay, so we have to understand what shorting is, that they can go out like multiple years. Okay.
Hmm.
So um, I don't really get into options trading much because I spend all my time doing this YouTube channel plus my day job, which takes about 60 hours a week. Um, so I'm running myself rampant and crazy already.
Hmm.
But if I had the time to do it, you can go and short silver into like 2026, 27. It depends on if there's someone else that's going long that long. Excuse me, that amount of time. So
Do you think people are going that long though? Honestly, and
I'd
given
have
what's
to
going on?
look. I haven't looked at it yet, but if someone thinks that silver is going to hit, you know, $300 an ounce in 2028, um, they can basically set up the option in that way where they're going to buy it today and they're going to sell it in the future at that price, and they can make a huge amount of spread. The other side of that is going to be the person that shorts it that says that's not going to happen. Um, so the problem with the banks is it's how far out are they with their shorts, and how much money are they shorting, and how many ounces of silver basically. If the banks believe that silver is going to start to run up, they're going to start trying to get rid of those shorts as fast as they can.
Yep. Yep.
And then what they're going to do is start going long, which is going to push the price higher. And the reason they're going to go long is they're going to try to cover the shorts that they can't get out of, that they
Yep.
know they're going to lose money on.
Yeah.
So
Rich
the
is making
banks can be your enemy and they can be your friend at the
yeah.
same time.
And
And
Rich is making some good points in the chat too, so we got to acknowledge him. He's been here for a while. I've been trying to
yeah,
acknowledge. Sorry, Richard.
let me look here because it moves so fast on this vertical format. It's hard to see them.
Well, what I'm doing is
Um,
I slowed my chat and I just kind of roll with my mouse so I can try to catch everything what everybody's saying. 'Cause I
yeah,
like
just on a
I
mobile
like to.
phone when you're vertical like this, I can only see 3 comments at a time and they disappear real fast. There's no way to slow it down or anything.
Well, that's why I have my tablet with you that I'm talking to you on, and then I
Yeah,
have
so
PC on my right,
let,
so I
let me
can kind of read.
see. Let's go to his comments real quick. So where are you looking at first?
Well, I don't. I can't see it on the stream audio. One of his statements is, we are. I can't even talk. We are already in a breakout as they haven't been able to hammer the price down since July. That's a great statement. I'm 100% on board with that. That's exactly how I think. I think they've lost control because they try
Well,
to hammer down, but they can't. They can't keep up with it, and I think it's going up. I mean, look at. I mean, within a
maybe
span of a
though
minute, it went up $1.06 when I got done negotiating, brokering that deal. Perfect example.
but okay. The one clarification is haven't been able to. We don't know that they may have decided to stop shorting. So the banks have a lot of money. I would err on the side that they've decided not to continue to short it anymore. So why did the banks short silver in the first place? It's not because they think it's not worth it. Okay, that's not why they're doing it. They're shorting the silver so that the the people that work with them can go buy the silver for less. Okay,
Yeah,
that's how this thing works. So it's the central banks, it's the billionaires that are picking stuff up. They're having the banks go short this stuff. They were doing the same thing with gold. They pulled back on it. So I I think just to clarify that, I think they have plenty ability to do it, and I think they have plenty of ability to squash it. There's a lot of money that's there. I think
yeah,
what's happening is they're choosing not to short it anymore because they're seeing that there's enough momentum in the market. Um, to say that it's gotten away from them, that would be a short squeeze. We haven't had that yet. So what a short squeeze would look like, OC, is next week we see silver go up to $56 an ounce, maybe even 65. That's the short squeeze where you're looking at days that are 5%, 10% increase in silver.
hmm
That's when it gets away from them. And the way you'll know is that in the morning they're drastically shorting. Now we've seen a little bit of that this week. We've seen I think it was on Wednesday where it started to go down in the morning and then it started to go up. But if you look at the volume, it's way lower than what they were doing in the past. So just one thing I would clarify is I don't know that I think they have the ability to still do it. I think they're choosing not to, and I think they're testing to see the momentum. Now, what I do, what you guys do, everybody watching this right now, you can't affect the price of spot. Okay, you're not buying enough. Now, if we if we look at like David Bateman, that on X that I follow, and someone I'm actually connected to on LinkedIn. So it's been a few years since I think we've met up. But he bought $400 million of gold last year and $800 million of silver, and he did it through, I believe, SLV, which is the silver ETF, and then he had it delivered. So he had $800 million worth of COMEX 1,000 ounce bars delivered. Okay. And I've got a picture of it. I've put it on my post. It's a lot of silver, guys.
How many
It's now,
forklifts?
I don't know, but it's now worth over 1.2 billion, right? And that's when silver was in the high 30s. So
That's insane.
now he's probably over $1.5 billion in silver. That guy can affect it. And I think I saw a post from him that said if we get 31 billionaires to go buy X amount of silver, we would basically shut the entire COMEX down. That would be a run. That's when the banks lose control. when they can't control the COMEX anymore, when they can't short at all, then they've lost it. But right now, I would argue that they have not lost control yet. I think they're testing it and trying to figure out how bad it is.
Maybe now it's time to call the Hunt brothers.
I think they're dead. I don't
Hey,
think they're alive anymore.
well, hang on. I want to address something that I've been. Guitar Gardens, valid point. I'm going to tell you right now that that is one of my personal indicators that I pay attention to, which is silver shorters are shorting 400 to 1 paper, fake to 1 real ounces of silver. But countries are asking for delivery from COMEX. I mean, I watched a guy that a long time ago that said, "Hey, if it ever gets over 400, that is the warning. That is a warning." I watched it get up to like 417 to 1. And I was thinking, man, any day something big is gonna happen. Well, then it kind of settled down again. But look where we're at. We're right back at 400 again. And he said 400 is one of the big indicators to look out and to get on to physical. So great point, Guitar Gardens. That's a great point. I encourage everybody to look at that number at least once a week, once every couple of weeks.
Totally. And one of the best places to do that is on the uh
World clock.
yeah, what do they call it? It's the US debt clock, I think.
Yeah, US debt clock. It's usdebtclock.org.
.org or something like that.
Yeah, yep.
And then OC to also hit it too. So Mark Petty asked about LBMA and COMEX. Is there only 3 to 4 months left? So David Bateman was saying that. He's saying there's only about 4 months left. So he basically said if we can get 30 billionaires to, and I can't remember what the amount was, I can't find the post again, but basically demand X amount of dollars of silver from the COMEX, they would basically cripple it. Now, if that happens, the banks will lose control because they will basically lose everything from the shorts they still have on the books. And they'll have to make up the difference in either delivering silver, or most likely what will happen is the COMEX will just basically say, hey, we don't have anything else to deliver because they can only deliver one out of 400 ounces. And so what they'll do is they'll just pay people out in dollars. And when something like that happens, the speculation is that there would be so much news about this that it's run out of silver and there's this huge demand for silver that it's going to be an issue. Now, I keep waiting for Elon Musk to announce that he's bought a silver mine for Tesla. He needs a lot of silver. Someone brought up earlier about the kilo of silver that's in every one of the new uh, Samsung batteries for EVs, and that's a fair amount of silver. I don't think that's enough to make the silver price go up by itself, but it is going to increase demand. We're about 5 to 6 years in arrears in
Yeah,
how much silver is needed every year for industrial use and
yep,
what's mined.
yep,
So what
yep.
that means is the companies like Tesla only have silver available if you and I turn our silver in. There's not enough coming out of the ground. It's being used up, right? And we still have to redo all of our stockpiles of weapons we've sent to Ukraine that need all the silver in them. And so I do think we're going to continue to have a deficit in silver mining. It takes 5 to 10 years to spin up a mine, and the U.S. doesn't have a single dedicated silver mine in operation. Mexico does, Canada does. So we got to stay friendly with those guys. We're going to run into some other issues.
And we
Okay,
don't have any. Let's hit up
Nick
Scrooge real
Scrooge.
back. He's asked it a couple of times. Do you see the one? Any thoughts? You want me to read it, or you got it?
Okay, I found it. Any thoughts on how much of one's investment portfolio should be in precious metals, excluding the value of one's primary residence? Yeah, I do. I have a lot of opinion on that. So
Yep.
here's my opinion. First off, excluding your house is a good thing to do. However, it becomes problematic if you live in a state like California where houses are crazy, stupid expensive. So always remember that you need to hedge. You need to hedge with metals for your house value as well. Okay, and when I mean that is, I look at an ounce of gold being worth $50,000. That's just kind of my rule of thumb. Because if everything goes to crap, I think they're going to revalue gold, and I think they'll need to burn off the debt, and they'll need to fix the monetary system, and I think that's where you're going to have gold go up to 50 grand. Okay, it's just
Hmm.
a rule of thumb. Okay, it could be less than that, it could be more. Um, so there's a couple things I look at, Scrooge. One is I look at having 1 ounce of gold for every 50 grand in net worth I have, okay, including my house. Okay, that's one measure I look at. The second one I look at is if I take my house out and I take all my other money I have to invest, including retirement 401ks, I like to right now have 20% in precious metals. Um, when when we're in a situation where things aren't crazy like they are now, um, so I'd have to go look at the exact years on it, but let's say it's 2000. It feels like there's always been problems going on, but 2016 to 18 was not as crazy. Maybe you could have 3 to 5%, but right now 20% is what I'm interested in doing. I'd like to still have probably about 10% in cash, maybe 5%, um, or cash equivalents. So that could be things like CDs, if you're okay and you trust the banks, which I don't. It could be mining stocks. It could also be, fairly liquid gold, like in One Gold, Glint, or Kinesis. Or it could be that you're buying very easy to sell bullion and you're considering that as cash too. But something that's fairly liquid, you could move out of, right? So pre 33 gold is not liquid, guys. Like if you're buying that stuff, it's fun, it's good, and maybe it'll help us in a confiscation. I don't know for sure, but that stuff is deep stack stuff. That's part of your percentage of your 3 to 5 that you just don't sell.
Hmm.
Um, Now, as far as gold to silver goes, I like to have $2 of gold for every $1 of silver. However, I'm trying to audit my stuff right now because my spreadsheet got destroyed, um, syncing in the cloud, which I didn't even know it was in the cloud because I didn't want to do that. I don't want people seeing all that stuff. But I'm having to re-audit all of mine, and I might be closer to 1 to 1, $1 of silver for $1 of gold. Um, and that's not exactly where I want to be. I'd rather have a little bit more gold than silver. Um, if silver does the things that Bix Weir talks about, where we could see it go 1 to 1, or potentially we would have more gold ounces to 1 silver ounce that would flip the GSR completely. Um, you know, I have plenty of silver. If that happens, I'm going to be just fine. But as you guys have seen, silver can be very volatile and it takes a while to catch up. Also, remember we go in cycles. So, you know, silver is just playing catch up right now. We could still see a situation where we have World War III breakout or something that people believe is World War III. Silver is going to tank, is going to go way down, and your gold is going to skyrocket at that time. And so you don't want to be stuck with only silver, in my opinion. But yeah, my percentage would be 20% right now. I know a lot of you are going way higher than that. You're going into like 80 or 90% silver and gold, and that's okay if you're prepared to sell it and you bought it right and you bought it below spot from people. But if you're paying full retail and you're putting all of your money into it, you got to be careful with it. And then you've got to remember too, especially for those of you that don't work and you're retired, you need to have a way of having enough cash flow coming in that you're not constantly having to sell things, unless you're okay doing that.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. OC, what would you say? What do you think's a good percentage?
That's a very good question. I'm gonna point everybody first off to go watch oh, Ray Dalio. I think I talked to you about it the other day. He did a pretty good 20-25 minute video on talking about silver and gold and how much to have and where you land on the pecking order. It came out this week, so if you can find it, go listen to it. It made a lot of sense. He was talking having 1 ounce of silver, 10 ounces of silver, 100 ounces of silver, 500, and where you sit in the pecking order as far as the world. It was pretty eye opening for me. I thought it was pretty cool. Long story short, I've been doing this since 1970, so I've been doing this for a hot minute, off and on. Obviously, kids, marriage, buying houses, blah 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 blah. Years where I bought, many years where I didn't. But um, my position was always, 20% of your portfolio in metals. I have changed that to 25 to 30% because I'm later on in years. Now, younger folks that have time to ride the stock market, that's fantastic, and they can take that chance, and they can put a percentage into crypto. How much do I have in crypto? $2,000. When I did my portfolio when I sat down with my financial planner, when I sat down with my CPA, I looked at the position we were in, the business that I owned and sold and retired, and my wife is still working. She works for the school district. Between her pension plan, Social Security, and um, her oh shoot pension, my wife and I are going to be making more money retired than we did while we were working. So I'm in a position where I don't really have to sell my metals. Hopefully, never. I'll be making more money retired coming in from our investments and from just not driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis when we had the chance to, or buying two, three, four houses. We could care less about that stuff. Um,
What would happen if you sold all your stock portfolio and you just put it in metals?
well, believe me, I tried. We've
But what
talked about this. My
what would
wife,
happen if you did that?
we would be had my wife listened to me. We would be in a much different. I would be in the position where I would need the vaulting services. How's that?
Would
So,
would you be selling metals though to live, or do you
oh
need
no,
are you need cash flow that's going to be coming off of like your investments?
I've designed my retirement to where I never had to. I've been telling everybody that chats with me. I'm building generational wealth. My kids want nothing to do with my coin collections whatsoever, but they understand what a tube of gold and silver does and
But
what the
okay,
value is.
I guess what I'm saying is you can live off of the Social Security income, and that's all you need.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so those are the things you guys got to look at, right? Like
Hang on, back up. That's both both my wife and mine Social Security,
in her
our
pension.
pension, and then yeah. So that's a big part of it, and then obviously our investments that we made throughout the years. Like I said, if we chose to go on an extravagant vacation or just a mild vacation and put a couple grand towards retirement, that's what we would do. Um,
So I think that's the key. OC is you know for me, my company, we don't have a pension. I can choose to put money away in a 401k or not, um, which to me runs the risk of confiscation, and it runs the risk of getting wiped out because I have options of either bonds or tech company. That's it. There's
mhm.
like I don't have very good options. They kind of suck. Um, so I can do that, and then my company gives me stock, which is an AI company, and it's been up quite a bit this year. Most of them are down, but it could go down. It's one company, right? It's not very diversified. So for me, I may go higher than 20% in metals because I've got more risk I need to cover. I don't have a teacher salary that's going to kick in after I retire. Um, and, I do have Social Security, but I'm 49. By the time I get to draw on my Social Security, I'm not sure it's going to buy a lot.
Yeah,
It might
and
be equivalent to like $1,000 now. It just may not do a whole lot for me.
yeah,
So
and I'm more diversified than just my metals and my house. We
yeah.
have land, we have art, we have other things that we've invested into. We're pretty well diversified. Like I said, I count my blessings every day. I tell you this all the time. Like I said, I'm very fortunate. Um, Shoot, there was a point that I wanted to make with the retirement that we had, but I can't remember it. Doggone it.
Well, I'll hit one other quick question on here, Mark. Petty said, "Is silver on the government's list of strategic metals?" It is as of August. They just added it back on. And do they need to start stockpiling it? Yeah, they totally do because they don't have any. But will they is the big question. And so a theory that's out there is um, you may have fewer banks shorting it now because you know they're not being told to anymore. They're being told to let it run, so that the U.S. can't stockpile and the West cannot stockpile because you guys they haven't been stockpiling this stuff or gold. It's been all the third world countries and it's been the BRICS nations that have been buying up gold and silver.
Yeah,
And so technically, we're kind of in this like Trump decided to go forget gold and silver and he went all in crypto. They haven't bought any gold and silver, so to speak. However, we've been seeing a whole bunch of gold moving from the LBMA to the COMEX. And so maybe we're doing it kind of in a stealth mode. And it is happening. But we don't know that, and so it's kind of a tricky thing right now because we should be stockpiling it. We need it for weapon systems, and we could be at a time here where we're just not going to see $30 silver ever again because the people that were shorting it decide not to do it anymore.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
Well, I remember my point I was going to make. So when I sat down with our investment counselor and all that kind of stuff, I told them we took all of our investments. We did good, so we took and we put all those in low risk. And I told them I don't want any of my investments with you guys in the metals at all. I'm taking care of that end of my portfolio. So I did divide to sit down with them, and that's part of our strategy was that I control our metals, and I don't have them invest in it. I don't want them getting into. I told them I didn't want anything on paper or anything like that. So I took everything at high risk. We made our money. I put everything in the low risk. I think I have one portfolio has medium. The rest are all in low risk, and we've done just fine with that. So, but I control the metals.
And
You,
if the stock market gets whacked really hard, you've got the metals to back you up.
I just had that
Um,
conversation last night with my wife, and I told her, I said, "Look," because she was asking about it. She knows I do it and loves it, but she's not into it like I am and like we are. But I said, "Well, I go if the market ever crashes," I said, "My metals that we've been stockpiling and I've been building on since I retired 5 years ago, and I've done nothing but work on my stack." I said, "Look, our metals will probably make up for what we lose."
Totally.
But I remember I talked to you about that too. I told you I put stop losses on all my accounts. So, and there's pros and cons to that too, by the way. And you explained the part I didn't understand. I get it, but we still left them in.
Yeah, so I mean, when markets start moving down and correcting, people will look for those stop losses to take you out, is what'll happen. And
Yeah,
then it'll rise up. And so, the biggest thing to remember if you have stop losses is if they get triggered, do not immediately go back and buy in.
yeah,
You need to wait a little bit for it. Not financial advice, just my observation. You need to work with your stockbroker on it.
yep,
The other thing is you can have the markets take a big crash, and it'll still trigger your stop losses, but they'll be way lower. This is kind of the same thing as getting taken out, but it could be more drastic. So if you own a stock at $100, it's worth $100 today, and you put a stop loss at $80, you can have the market go down to $50 before the stop loss gets used because it's dropping so drastically fast that the first time anybody's willing to buy is at $50. And so also know that if you put stop losses on, it does not secure you 100% and guarantee you're going to be able to sell at that price.
yeah,
um, if there's a big market crash like 1929, you might only get 20 bucks on each $100 you have. But that's what metals are for. They're there to hedge. So
yep,
I don't think anybody, in my opinion, should go 100% into anything.
yeah.
And
Mine's
I
30% of my
just
portfolio.
Yeah, I just wouldn't do 100%. But
Yep,
another question here that I thought was good from Nap 41HB. Something is about to blow, or I guess is a comment in the banking system. Too much printed paper dollars backing nothing.
yeah,
It's not just that; it's the banks lend out too much money. Every time you put a dollar in, they lend it out 9 times, and they don't hold a lot of reserves. And when they hold reserves, they can do it in bonds. And when interest rates go up, the bonds that they hold become worthless. Right? They become worth about 10 cents on the dollar, 20 cents on the dollar. um, if
well,
the interest rates don't start dropping drastically very quickly, the banks could start to fold. And a lot of them are holding um, apartment, not apartment, but office space that's not being leased out anymore. And they're having to refinance at these much higher rates. And so a lot of these banks are in big trouble. The Fed continues to play games to make it look like they're okay, um, but we could have a banking issue that happens. You could also have a cyber attack on banks that could cause major problems. So for me, I don't want to have a lot of money in the bank um, at any given time because you never know when banks can have an issue. And there was a video that just came out like a day or two ago about the banks specifically. I think it was with uh, Daniela Cabone that put it out. I think she's over at ITM Trading now, maybe. But anyway, I think she put a video out recently to kind of hit on that, so that might be one to go look at.
Yeah, and let's not forget that the thing that nobody ever talks about, who holds the most of our bonds? China. And if they cash out, what is it, 5, 6, 7% of their bonds, it could wreck our market. But you and I touched on that a little bit. But if they do that, they're chopping off their nose to spite their face, because if they're going to collapse our economy, then their bonds will go to nothing anyhow. So they're kind of darned if they do and darned if they don't with our bonds. So
Yeah.
that's why they're calculating the bonds in with this stable coin, to show that we're working on try to keep it alive. But I just insist it's just kicking the can down the road, kicking the can down the road. The only one that's looking out for Surfer in OC Stacker is Surfer and OC Stacker. It's what and the people in our communities who listen to us. We got 100 people in here listening to us. Listen, folks. The only person that's going to care about you is you. And listening to all these great people that Surfer gets on his channel, Andy, Chris, the guys down at um, oh good, why am I Tangible Investments?
Mm.
These guys have been around the corner. These guys see the writing on the wall. And I didn't open my eyes until after I retired and started really getting into it. I paid for financial planners, and I had my accountants and do all that stuff. Now that I've got time on my hands, and I took the ostrich took his head out of the sand and started looking around. Yeah, these guys might have your best interest at heart, but they're going to invest in things that make them money along with you. But
Yep.
the metals part of it, I'm sorry, this is my area, this is my wheelhouse, and I'm going to operate in it. And I said, here, you can take this part of the portfolio, but I am going to manage my metals. I'm good at what I do. I like talking about it. I love sharing knowledge. I love doing deals. It's fun. I like to do good with the community. Like I said, for me, it's always a win-win. I smile every day doing this. And like I said, the deal this morning, the deal with the Eagles, was I bummed out? No. The good Lord's looking out for my guy, he's a newbie too, by the way, but he comes for money and he buys huge allotments, and then he thinks he's missing out on something. He want to take all these Eagles and go buy Morgans and Peace dollars. I go, what are you thinking, bro? I would never do that in a million years. I would never take a monster box of BU Type 1 Eagles and go buy Morgans and Peace dollars. I'm sorry. It did make sense to me, and he finally listened to me. But the advice I gave him talked me out of getting a deal. But that's okay. That means it's meant to happen. At 5 o'clock this morning, the next deal knocked on my door. So it's never going to stop with us, and we'll always have our good connections and people that want to hear from us and do business with us. So
Well, and I think one of the last things here too, OC, is um, always follow the money. Okay. When you hire a financial advisor, how do they get paid? If they get paid every time you make a trade, they're going to trade a lot of stuff for you. If they get paid by managing a percentage of your portfolio amount,
mhm.
then they're going to want you to put as much money in there as you can, and they're going to continue to hound you to put more money in. If they're paid by a percentage of gain that you make, and they don't make any money if you lose money, I haven't found one of those yet,
Hmm.
then they're going to do everything they can to make sure you make money. Um, you know, I haven't found a good one, but I'm going to be on the hunt for this. This is something I want to provide to the channel. I just don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'd like to find a financial planner that is not paid to do anything except for advising you, sitting down with you, and I want someone that is a silver and gold stacker, that also understands real estate, that understands stocks and bonds, that understands crypto, and also understands the importance of liquidity, cash flow, um, retirement savings, things along those lines. And I want to
Well,
be able to find some people that can sit down with all of us and really figure out a game plan for you guys. And then from there, plug into other experts that are out there that can help you. Um, if you're getting into mining stocks, I've just been dabbling with it. I put 6 grand into some mining stocks. It's turned into $11,000. So it's almost doubled. And a couple of them are up 180%. I'm like, I wish I put more in there. Actually, one of them's up to 205% right now. And this is just since May, mind you. Okay.
mhm.
It's not like I've been doing this for years. It's since May. It's an experiment. And I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, holy moly, I want to put more in there. But to OC Stacker's point, it is paper, gold, and silver.
Yep.
Okay. Those companies could end up having a scandal with their CEO, which could totally kill the company.
Yep.
It could turn out they have a lot more debt than what they're disclosing right now. It
Yep.
could be, it could be that oil prices spike. And I haven't been watching that closely enough, let's say, because oil always spikes after we have a gold bull run, because they use a lot of oil to mine a lot of this stuff, and they're going to start spinning mines up. By the way, as the gold and silver price gets higher, you're going to see more and more mines come out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
As they do that, the price of oil is going to go up, and you tend to also be coming out of a recession a lot of times when gold goes up, and your oil's starting to go up. But anyway, there's a lot of factors that can affect these things. I put money in a year and a half ago into mining stocks, quite a bit of money, and it did nothing. It just sat there. I took it out and I went and bought physical metals,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked out fine for me. So I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying you got to find experts that are in these different fields that you're going after, and really understand what you want to do.
Yeah.
I think you should always start with a very good foundation of constitutional silver. I like at least $100 face per person in your family, and then get to 200, and then get to 300. And I never stop adding that stuff. I just continue to add it, because that's what you're going to use to survive if we get an NSHTF. As you have more money, I like to start getting into silver rounds, 1 ounce, and into sovereign coins like Eagles and Maple Leafs would be kind of the two primary ones I would look at. They're the best quality ones.
Yeah.
Um,
And I should probably disclose that I'm not a financial planner either. I'm just sharing my
yeah,
worldly
neither of
advice
us
with
are.
everybody.
None of this is financial advice. We're just giving you guys some thoughts about what we do.
Hang
You
on,
know,
I want to address Ellie's statement here, or
yep, go
question
ahead.
here, if you don't mind. Stacking Surfer, it's probably to you, but I'm going to answer it. Thoughts on purchasing slabbed in the upcoming future? I'm going to tell everybody. I'm going to say something that's probably might offend a few people, but it's just this is my feeling and what I see in the coin community. I think buying any slab, gold or silver, is an absolute waste of money. And there's a reasoning behind that. It is more so about silver than it is gold. Are there reasons in certain items that need to be slabbed and do that kind of stuff? Yes, there are, and yes, there's points of doing that. Flowing hair, for instance, the sunflower coin that just came out. Those types of coins, yes. But when people come to me at the coin shows, us, I should say, and they have all these slabs and it's MS69 and MSS, we don't care. It doesn't matter. The slab means nothing. Doesn't bring 1 penny more value to me. I'm going to buy that silver a dollar or two back a spot because that's the marketplace. This spending money and saying Eagles and stuff it out for getting slabbed and graded, I think is an absolute 100. I'm not going to call it a scam. I'm going to say it's just not a smart way to spend your money. If you're a stacker, be a stacker. That means buy generic, buy the tubes or fill them, work on your monster boxes, work on your tubes, whatever the level you're at. Slab coins are an absolute waste of money. Anything a couple of dollars over a spot on any silver, unless it's something super rare and all that kind of stuff. But here again, we have to separate the coin collectors, which I am, from the stacker. I am no longer a coin guy. I appreciate them. Will I buy them once in a while? Did I just buy the Army 250th? Yes, I did. Do I have a flowing hair in silver and gold? Yes, I do. But I think you pick and choose and don't do every little thing and do that. It's kind of like when you go out for dinner and you want to get dessert, there's 50 different things that you really want to get. You just get one. I want the chocolate cake and not the tiramisu. You know what I'm saying? Same with silver. You guys got to pay attention to this. Watch what happens. I mean, you get excited about having something in slab, and you paid. Let's just say you spent $55 on a slabbed Eagle MS69. Then you go to your LCS and go turn it in and go see what they give you for it. I'm saying this because I'm just want you guys to watch what you're spending your money on and where you're putting your money at, and be smart about it. And I'm going to go back to what I said earlier in the show. What is your exit strategy? Are you going to get the 60? I mean, obviously silver goes up, but are you going to get your value? Let's just say you bought a Buffalo for right now. Let's just say you bought it at $45 and it goes up to 65, but you spent 65 in that Eagle that was slabbed. You didn't come ahead.
Hmm.
You have to look at what you're buying.
Well,
That's all I'm saying.
OC, the other thing too is, you don't buy the slab stuff like that. I don't either, but we have taken certain items and, like you mentioned, and
Yeah,
we
we
will
have.
get them slabbed, and you can add some value to that, but know that you usually have to flip them pretty fast. If you end up holding on to them like a year, a lot of times that benefit doesn't stick.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, are there exceptions? Of course there are. But you have to do your research and not go on a coin auction on a Sunday morning for 4 hours and watch all these things and everybody's buying them. You feel like you're getting FOMO that you're missing out on a deal. Those are not deals, folks. I'm sorry. I
Yep.
hate to break it to you.
It,
I'm speaking to you folks as a stacker. There's a difference between collectors and stackers. I think most of us are stacker or are collectors because do I want to look at a safe full of nothing but silver buffaloes?
well,
Of
then
course,
you're just an investor at that point.
well, exactly. And at my age and where I'm at in my life, that's where I need to be. I don't. Do I get excited about seeing that stuff? Do I think it's cool? I value. I look at the numbers. Okay, they only printed 17,000 of those flowing hairs. Do I think and it'll go up? Almost every Liberty coin has. So yes, I think that's speculation on my part. But I don't do speculation every time I go out and invest. If I'm building my stack, I don't build my stack on speculation. I build it on facts
Mhm.
and what's going on. You and I are lucky that we've done coin shows and we get to see how the interactions are and what people are doing. And we're all these people, these 106 people listening to us are getting some kind of knowledge from you and I, and that's why you started this channel, and that's why you and I became friends because we both want to share the same message, which is just be smart about what you're doing. Are you a stacker? Then be a stacker. Are you building for generational wealth? Then great. Then go after that. Buying collectibles and rarities and batarangs and Scooby Doo's and Bugs Bunnies.
And Tim coins.
Now, did I go buy a Tim coin? Of course I did. But
But
here's
you
my
also
thought.
didn't pay, these weren't crazy high premiums. These are about the same price as a Buffalo.
Well, then you have to look at it. Okay, why did I buy that coin? Well, I think Tim and Yankee bring a lot of knowledge and help a lot of people out, and that's a way for us to support them. I got no problem with that whatsoever. This is where the generosity and the giving back part comes in from our community. We all support each other. We got Wounded Warrior Project, St. Jude. We all go in and pitch in. We donate silver. We go buy silver for ridiculous prices to raise money. But for people that pay attention to that, that's, I own a company that needs write-offs. What better way to do that than get 100% write-off on metals that I love playing with to begin with? All right,
Totally. And
okay, I'm off my soapbox.
and a couple things here too, OC, that kind of got brought up too.
Yeah,
You
I haven't
know,
been watching the chat.
yeah. So um, one, I think you need to build a foundation, but you got to look at stuff too. Someone in here, Vape King's talking about he has a fiduciary, right? So fiduciary can be, well, they're not always fiduciary, is what I'll tell you, because a lot of times they're not well rounded enough, and that's what I haven't found in a good advisor yet, or in a good planner yet. But I've got a friend that that's a his dad owns a stock brokerage company. He's going to be taking it over pretty soon, and I've been talking to him about getting gold and silver for 3 years, and he just laughed at me. And he's like, I'm just going all in on Tesla, and I'm going all in on Palantir stock and a bunch of the Magnificent Seven. And he did really well 2 years ago with that. But last year, BlackRock is their number one advisory firm that they connect into, and BlackRock told them to put 1% of into gold last year. They didn't do it. He contacted. We went out to lunch in I think it was like April, and he told me he's been watching a lot of videos trying to get caught up because BlackRock has told him this year that they should move all at least 2% of the portfolio of their investors into gold. So he's starting to watch it. So people are slowly waking up to it. 10%, having in a fiduciary mention 10% in precious metals, that's the highest I've heard anybody recommend. Usually it's like 1 or 2%. They're so worried about the stuff. And a lot of it's because they can't sell it. They can't make any money from it. It's going to sit around your house, and it's really not going to make any money. However, I can find charts. I probably need to pull a few of them on the web, put them on here. Gold has beat out the S&P 500 for like the last, I think it's 20 years. It's outperformed it. I could be wrong. Maybe it's only the last 15 years.
Hmm.
But it's outperformed it. Now, you have to look at the time frames of these things. You have to look at how it's outperforming on some of these averages. Our houses are becoming cheaper priced in gold, and essentially we're losing value in our houses. So even if you have a paid off house, your house, you're losing value compared to if you had that money into gold. Now, I'm not going to tell you to go live in a tent and put all your money in gold and silver and vault it. I'm not going to say that. You need a
Yeah.
place to live. But just know that there are charts out there that you can go do a little bit more research on. There's a lot of good stuff on X,
Hmm.
formerly Twitter, and a lot of people you can follow there that will put some great charts out that help you understand, um, where gold is compared to other investments.
Yeah. Hey, hang on. Ellie's got a question here. I think you and I should both answer it. It says, OC Stacker, would you purchase gold buffaloes and gold eagles or pre 33 at these prices and why? For me, Ellie, that's a very simple question. When I go liquidate, when people come to me with all sorts of different types of gold, there's one gold that stands out above all those that when I go sell them, I get top dollar. That is the 24 karat gold buffalo. No questions asked. I think that's the smartest way to invest in it. If you're getting gold, that is the one number one where people will stand in line to buy. They like the Eagles, but Buffalo, given the people that have the Eagles, hey sir, would you like to exchange 10 Eagles for 10 Buffaloes? Yes, I would, every time. So let me tell you how, sir. I'm going to share one of our to a point, and you can tell me to stop if you want to. We if we have I have an avenue to where I get gold Cougarans at a pretty good price. I try to take those in, and when I take those in, the margin for profit is pretty big, and so I can take those Cougarans and hand those into my smelter, and I have him collect. I have him actively right now as we speak. If any buffaloes come into his place, they have my name on them, and then I walk in with my Cougarans and I exchange those, and I pay him $25. I hand him a gold Cougaran and $25, and I will get a buffalo in a capsule in different forms, but I won't take the beat up ones or pocket pieces. And anybody that puts a gold buffalo in their pocket, not being in the capsules, asking for trouble because you bump against a counter and that buffalo is going to ding. It's very dense. It dings very easily.
Oh yeah, you
So
can
that
don't
so
drop
that,
a buffalo.
yeah. So this is how I get around that, and people want them, and then I can take those buffaloes and turn around those and get a premium on those every day of the week. What's in my stack? I diversify. I have everything. I have Cougarans, I have Eagles, I have Buffaloes, I have Maples. I don't have any Philharmonics. They've never come across my table. I just recently purchased two 24 karat Bitcoins from Sorcerer Stand on Mama T's coins. So shout out to that channel and them. That was a great deal. That was 2 weeks ago, and I paid $3,500 an ounce. And then we can see where gold's at today. Did I make the
And
right move?
and
It's
then
never
someday
no-brainer.
you can melt those on TV.
No, I don't. I bought them as a novelty, and I'll tell you why I bought those. I'm waiting when the bitcoins crash or people cash out and if they lose their money and they come run into the metals, which I think that's inevitable in my personal opinion. This is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. I want to sell them a Bitcoin to remind them that they should have stuck with something that's tangible, zero party risk, and is smart. In my opinion, I think everybody listening and asking questions, you're here for a reason. You believe in the process and what's going on. We're just here to share as much knowledge as we possibly can, and that's what I do, Ellie. That's one of my uh, rabbits in my hat. That a good analogy.
I think so. So if you guys haven't done so, hit the thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet. But um,
Hey,
we're gonna. We're,
hang on. Welcome
yeah.
in, Ellie Corrupted. Hey, he's texting me. I'm having something done. He's doing something for me, and I said, "Hey,
Oh
come join
yes.
us on
Hey,
the chat."
welcome.
He does
I
great pours, by the way. You guys should go visit his channel. Ellie will drop his link for you guys. He's a great guy. We had
definitely.
some,
If any of you have channels, drop your links in here. That's you guys can totally do that.
he poured my favorite bar out of all the bars I've ever owned. This is the only one that's on my desk on display. I sent him a picture of it today. It was a couple hours ago because I'm
It's a
having
cool one.
it is very cool. Oh yeah, I did show you. It's the coolest thing ever. So go check him out. He's a good guy. Does phenomenal work. So check him out. Shout out to Mentally Corrupted.
So the one thing I'll just say is we're going to try to do my work schedule is going to get crazy and really busy. So I want to keep this channel alive and keep it going. I hope someday to make money off this thing. I'm still losing money on it. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, there's guys that make their entire living off of this, but it can be difficult to do. So I'm going to get on as much as I can. I'll probably be doing a lot more live streams just because it's easier to do these. I don't have to go back and edit. And with how fast things are moving right now, if it takes me like 4 days to edit a video, it's irrelevant already.
Old news.
So it's old news. So we'll try to do more and more of these as we can.
Yeah, this is
Uh,
fun. I think this is the first time you and I have actually done this. Actually,
yeah, we'll do more OC, and we'll have Sean Precious Bully on too. You guys have listened to him. I know people are asking about platinum. He's kind of my platinum guy.
there you
Um,
go.
when you look at all of this stuff, this is the last bit of advice I'm going to give you guys. Be careful trying to chase the metals to get rich and make money. Um, there's a whole nother way to play it if you're trying to do that. If you're trying to make a ton of money, it's the gold and silver miners, right? Crypto is another way people have made a lot of money off of stuff in just the stock market in general. Um, I've done an analysis. If I would have taken the money I had in 2003 and just purchased gold, put it in a safe, and worked on my career and forgot about all of that stuff and never bought another ounce, I would have 10 times the amount of net worth I have today. Okay. 10
Hmm.
times of it. And I've got a decent net worth. So, in the meantime, what did I do? I was doing real estate projects, taking self storage facilities from concept to building permits for 140,000 square foot storage facility. I bought homes, I fixed them up, I flipped them, I sold them, I rented them out. Um, I've started a couple tech companies. None of them turned into a billion-dollar thing, but some of them we made money and sold them, and others we closed down. I've been working for companies all along that time, and same amount of money doing all these different things, 10 times more if I just put it in gold and stashed it away. Now, if I had done silver, it wouldn't have done as well. Okay. The gold has blown away the silver during that time.
Hmm.
Now, I do think we're going to see a period of time here where um, the ratio is going to dance around. I think you're going to see it dance around probably between 70 and let's call it 85 for a while. If we get news about wars and other things like that, I think we could see it go back over 100 for the gold to silver ratio. And if we end up with a recession coming out of that recession, I think we have the chances to see silver really skyrocket and to have that ratio come way down.
Hmm.
So in OC and I have had these conversations. We're not like selling we're not moving all of the gold into silver and just
No.
going all silver.
Nope.
And we're also not taking our silver and just going gold. And we hold those things for different reasons. And so you got to build a good sound strategy, stick to it. And then what OC's been describing to you guys tonight is how do you find deals? How do you figure out how to, um, you know, buy at better prices and sell at higher prices? Buy at lower prices, sell at higher prices. And a lot of you say you're never going to sell this. Well, it's all relative. If you put in 100% of your money into gold and silver, you're probably going to be selling it at some point. If you only put 1% in, you never have to worry about selling it. Even 20%, you probably don't have to worry about selling it. So it's all relative to how you do it. Um, you know, I, I was talking to Lynette Zhang's sister today, um, and a strategy that's out there too is you can buy things like gold bullion instead of holding a bunch of cash in the bank, and you just know that you're going to sell it at some point. And so you're looking for what's going to sell the easiest, and that's what OC just told you guys about is the gold buffaloes. That's
Yep.
the easiest thing to move. It's the most liquid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, are you going to pay a little bit more when you go to buy them? If you pay retail,
Yep.
don't pay retail for them.
Yep.
And guess what? When you go to sell them, you're going to get more money for them selling them than you will for a Krugerrand or an Eagle.
Yeah.
And if not, then you haven't shopped around to 3 places before you decided to sell.
We
Always
should
do that.
probably we should probably explain the strategy behind that. So if we're buying those Cougarans back and gold is moving up so quickly that it takes up the gap of us coming out of pocket and trading that Cougaran and $25 for a Buffalo because we still made profit. It rode in my Cougaran and just moved it. I shifted the asset from a Cougaran to a Buffalo. That's all we're doing. So it's a smart way to do it. So when people say, "Hey, you got gold," I always tell people I got Cougarans. It's the smartest buy. I don't want those, and I'll tell you why. My number one reason why people don't buy them because they don't have the purity on them. So if they go to Canada or they
Yep.
travel internationally, and if they want to move those Cougarans, people will frown on it because people in some countries will pay you more for a 3 nines fine, 4 nines fine, 5 nines fine gold, and everybody they'll pay top dollar on a 5 9 coin, which the only one that I know of is the Canadian maple. So if you're traveling and you want to go sell your gold in China, you're going to get your top dollar more than a Buffalo is going to be the gold maple with 5 nines on it. But guess what? Am I going to go to China and go do that? Nope.
I don't think I'm ever going to China.
Well, there you go.
So
So here, hang tight. I answered Ellie's question, but she wants to hear what your answer is.
yeah.
Um,
So
um,
okay.
uh,
So here's my answer. And OC knows this. I buy when I have money, right? And so I'm not really buying. I'm converting. Um, I like to dollar cost average, but let me give you my definition of that. I'm not really keeping track. I mean, once I get my spreadsheet rebuilt, I'll be keeping track of that to see if it's going down over time, or now it's just going to be slowly probably going up. But I'm not so much worried about trying to get the best price all the time. Like, I'm not always trying to focus on getting the price down on how much I pay over time. That's kind of a
mhm,
losing game. What I'm doing is anytime I have extra funds, I'm looking to say where do I want to put those funds? And oftentimes it's into gold and silver, and that's when I'm buying. And so I'm still I, I only have like a half an ounce that's in Eagles and 10th ounce Eagles. I don't buy 1 ounce Eagles. Everything's 1 ounce Buffaloes. um, I do have some Krugerrand. Actually, I sold my Krugerrands recently, and I'm planning on buying some other coins for them. But the stinking gold price is running on me too fast. I'm not fast enough to switch out of it.
you're getting caught with your pants
So
down.
yeah, I made $50 an eagle or a Krugerrand, and now I'm upside down by $10 or $15 to go buy back the same thing I just sold.
Yep.
Sometimes it runs on you a little bit, but um, I'm still in the market to buy more Eagles, sorry, more Buffaloes. I'm looking at buying more pre-33 gold. That's kind of the next thing I'm looking at. I want to get a couple coins that have lower populations and are more rare.
Hmm.
But that's me because I don't want to take on the bulk of just metals. I'd like to add some value to it. But it all depends on your stack, guys. It depends on how much money you've got into it. If you're looking to put $1 million into gold and silver, I would say don't go all bullion. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't tell you what to do with this, but I would say look for some more expensive stuff that holds some value so you don't end up having to have like 5 safes in your house full of, generic bars.
Yeah.
Look at Silver Eagles, look at, getting some pre 33 gold with some more rare dates that those tend to do really well over time in the market.
Hey,
On
hey, why don't you share the advice on what Tangible told us about pre 33 and the grade to get and not below, which is MS 63 and above is what you if you're going to do the pre 33, give your sights on that. But I
Yeah,
think we've gone to length on that with them, and at the end of the day, that's when you turn back into a collector and not a stacker, in my opinion.
yeah. So real quick before we get to that though, see, on the flip side, if you only have $500 to get started with, and by the way, you may only have $50.
Yeah.
And if you only have 50 bucks, these are $48. You can call up Tim. I don't have his contact information. You'd have to go over to Yankees channel and go look at one of the videos Tim's on. 48 bucks is where you get started. I don't know what his shipping cost is, but you can get started for around that. If you don't even have that, it's okay.
Well, hang
Go
on.
look at
You got to back that up
half
a little bit,
dollars, quarters, and
because
dimes.
if you live in California or somewhere where they tax you if you don't buy X amount of dollars, they're going to whack you with tax on that too. So that's
Y-
why when my friends fly out there, I
Yeah,
say,
you
"Hey,
got to
well,
look at that.
yeah, since you're there, can you pick me up a few?"
You have to look at that. Now, I went this morning. I got stuck on a call with tangible investments this morning, and I didn't make it to Tim's fast enough. And I was there before he opened, and there were already like 7 people waiting outside. So I couldn't have my whole day. I couldn't take a whole nother day waiting for him to go through things. So I wasn't able to pick up more stuff today, unfortunately. So I'll need to figure out how we get some more things from him. But if you have just a little bit, get started with a little bit. The key
Yeah.
is create a strategy, decide what you want to go after. If you have a ton of money, I would be looking at gold and silver. Um, if you have a couple $100,000 you're putting in, you can start looking at platinum, in my opinion. Honestly, for me, I did not, look at platinum until I had met my goal in silver and gold stacking at my minimums. And at that point, I went and bought like an ounce of platinum. I'm not loading up on platinum. It's not, it's not a monetary metal. It's not one that it's one that's very much based on the economy and how things are going. It is a precious metal. It is something that has value, but it's going to be a completely different market, and it's going to be a harder thing to kind of judge. But it could have massive upside. So for me, platinum is something that I will probably add a little bit more to my stack, um, but it's not something I'm focused on. It's mostly gold and silver. And silver for me is speculation and it's SHTF insurance. Gold for me is wealth insurance. Should California have a big real estate crash, um, and I need to sell my house, and I'm going to take a big hit on my house. Hopefully the gold will shore that up. If we have a big financial collapse that goes on, the gold is going to help me get out of that. But if I need to eat in the meantime, silver is going to kick in. So
Yeah.
I look at a few different things on that. Palladium, I'm not touching palladium. I have no desire in that. Rhodium, I have no desire in that. Um, to me, like if you're going to do that, go get Bitcoin, go get XRP. Like
Yeah.
those things are way more liquid. Good luck on finding palladium and rhodium, and good luck on finding someone to sell them to.
I was just gonna say, what was my advice at the beginning of the show? I just recently have been looking in and talking to a lot of diverse people that know a lot about the metals that are way more deeper than I am. And I said, hey, look, and palladium did have a nice little bump. If you would have bought it 2 3 weeks ago, you would have made a handsome reward on your palladium. And they
So that's
said
if you're a trader. Are you guys a
yeah.
stacker or you're a trader?
Well, if you're doing it on paper, that's one thing. But if you're like us and want it physical, and the guy that I was talking to said, "Hey, look it, I can get you it, but you're going to have a heck of a time selling it. You got to find, and you're
Yeah.
probably going to have to go overseas to sell palladium. People aren't buying it here. It doesn't have application. I'm sure it has applications here, but there's no one out there standing in line to buy your palladium. And
It's
and
mostly catalytic converter guys, and they're not going to start stealing those again until those metals do go up in value.
yeah,
But
yeah. Let me tell you this. Um, then it depends on what form it's in. Do you want palladium in a coin and all that kind of stuff for a bar? No, they look at the purity content. If it is it 90%, 80%, 85%, 95, 99.5. There's different levels, and people will buy. It's kind of comparing with the buffalo. People will stand in line and pay you the money for it. But if you have a lower grade palladium, then they're going to pay you less money for it. So even though it had that rise, but maybe only the purest form of it is going to get you the best bang for the buck. And to sit there and try to understand it, learn it, shop it, and then learn the sell part of it, um, it was too much for what we're doing in the stage of my life. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. I'd rather stick to what I know and do what you and I are doing right now, which is talking to the folks, the 90 folks that are in chat right now. Oop, and did you freeze up on me? I think Surfer is striking a pose. So I want to ask Chad a question. What do you think about Surfer's view out his window? And it's 10, 11, 12. It's 1 o'clock in the morning for him right now. He's got one heck of a view. Oh, and my screen just went dark. So if you guys can hear me, put a 1 in the chat just so I can watch my other screen. I wonder if his phone went dead. Ruh-roh. Okay, you guys can still hear me. All right. Well, I guess I'll keep talking. Anybody want to? Hey, this is a good time to ask me a question in chat. It looks like Surfer's trying to come back.
Okay, am I back?
Yeah, you are. Yeah. I
Okay,
said,
this
hey,
is
this is
what
a perfect
happens
time.
when your phone dies in the middle of a stream.
I was gonna say, I bet you his phone died. I was gonna I picked up my phone to call you and I go, well, if his phone died, he ain't gonna answer.
so so I think yeah, the other thing I'll just mention on this stuff, I don't hate platinum. Okay, that's not the point.
Oh no,
The point,
I have 6, 7, 8 ounces of
yeah,
platinum.
the point
I
is,
like it.
what are you stacking for? What are you trying to go after? So someone
Diversity.
mentioned in here, who's going to take your platinum in an SHTF? Well, platinum's not an SHTF stack.
Yeah,
I wouldn't stack it for that.
I bought
I
that
would
on
stack
speculation.
platinum. Yeah, it's speculation. I'd buy platinum because of this. Platinum has been twice the value of gold. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And right now it's half the price of gold. It's actually, I think, even less than half the price of gold right now. So the reason you're buying platinum is because you believe gold is going to go to $5,000, for example. You can pick up platinum for under 2,000 right now, and platinum has been double the price of gold. So the speculation is that you can buy it for 2,000 and it's going to go to 10,000 when gold's going to go from, almost 4,000 right now to 5,000. So it might go up 1,000 and you might have platinum go up basically $8,000. That's the reason to buy platinum. So it's not an SHTF. It's not a wealth insurance. It is a complete speculation play based on what they're going to use it on for EVs, other technologies, and that we're going to have, a booming economy. Rhodium is such a rare thing and isn't used for a ton, but it is valuable. It's even more speculation. And then palladium, um, the only thing I know that that's used for is also in catalytic converters, but um, I don't think you're going to see those getting ripped out of cars until you see platinum back up to like $4,000.
Yeah.
But once you see it at $4,000, I think they're going to start ripping them out of the cars again.
Yeah.
So
And the other metal that's is the equal price of gold is rhenium. So I've been doing some research on that with Space Miner. That is one cat that is very smart on all gems and all metals.
yeah, he knows the rare stuff for sure.
He does, and I went to length with him on rhenium, and that's another one. Like I said, at different forms, different values. But because I told him, hey, I'm kind of speculating. I'm thinking about maybe diversifying a little bit more, and he goes, no, don't. It's and then Ian sells that works
Yeah.
with the LLC and those guys. And he goes, and I did. What my first question was, how do I get rid of it? My exit strategy. Will you sell it back to me? You're one guy. What happens if you go out of business? What happens if you run out of money? What
Then you
happens?
have a really cool metal to hang on to.
Yeah, I got a wall. I can put that on the wall with my other art.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with what's the other stuff they're always going after? The really shiny, sparkly stuff.
Hey, Michael, so do I. He wants to buy 1 gram bars at spot.
What OC,
I don't.
what's the other metal that's really rare that Ian sells?
Well, he does the osmium.
Oh,
It's not
osmium. Okay,
rare,
so
but
osmium's another one. Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily rare, but it's hard to to put into a meaningful format. So I don't hate osmium either, but I don't have like a need to own it either. Um,
I have one piece that Space Miner made on his rounds, and I have one piece of osmium,
yeah, so
and
I'm
I
not
bought that.
saying not to get that stuff, guys. What I'm saying is it has a very there's one person you can buy it from, there's one person that'll buy it from you. there's not a huge market for it, so it's not something that I'm interested in jumping into. But know what you're looking at, know what you're getting into. I've met Ian personally. He's a great guy. He actually has great prices on gold and silver if you're looking for someone to buy from. Osmium is cool. And if you have like a reason to do it, if you want to put it on a necklace, if you
Mm-hmm.
want to wear it, if you want it to be into a watch, it's pretty darn cool. It's super shiny. It's like more sparkly than a diamond, and there's some really good value that's in there, and it's been going up, by the way, in price. So you can make some good money on the speculation with it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's just not something I have the time to deal with right now. Could it be a cool gift, and each of my kids get like for my daughters, they get a necklace that is made out of osmium that has like their first initial. That could be a really cool thing to have. But it's not really something you don't get it like in a coin form, right? So you're not going to have like this big massive amount of it, and it's going to be something that's going to be harder for my wife to have to deal with if something happens to me. So for me, I stay away from it. But um, I think for some of the guys that really like it in the community, I try to help support them as much as I can, and they've been able to figure out some cool stuff, cool uses with it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it can be cool, but it's definitely not an SHTF thing. It's much more of the speculation.
Yeah, we touched on some good stuff today, man. This was a good stream.
Yeah, I gotta call it a day because I only have so much time before I get kicked out of my hotel in the morning, and I got a big day tomorrow. I'm going on a hunt, guys. I've got 20 ancestors that were on the Mayflower, so I'm gonna go check out the ship, the replica, and I'm also gonna go see if I can find where they've been put to rest in the cemetery, and do a little bit of family history out here. And then I've got to jump on a plane.
Are you gonna do
But
some video? Get a video and share that with us later on?
yeah, I'm going to do some video. I've taken a little bit of video already of Boston today. Take a little bit more video tomorrow as well. I'm hoping I'll be connecting with Silver Heist as well, so we may do a little joint video.
Yeah, I
Maybe
got
we'll
his
do a little
phone.
joint live.
I got his phone number. I'm gonna call him right now and wake him up and tell him he better come meet you.
Yeah, he hasn't messaged this week, so I'm not exactly sure what'll happen. So it may just be me out there doing some stuff, but it should be fun, and it's 1:48 here at night in the morning, so I've got to get a little sleep. But anyway, hopefully this will help you guys out. If you've got any questions, you can send me an email, stackingsurfer@gmail.com. Always happy to answer those. You can see in the description down below, there's a mentor program that I've got. We do have memberships as well that you guys can join. If you have questions on that, email me. I've kind of put them at every price point to kind of cover different things, whether you want to have my cell phone number to, ask me questions if you're at an LCS and you're trying to figure out if it's a good deal. Or if you want to ask some questions around your stack, there's an option where you can get access to my cell phone number. There's another option to have a 30-minute call every month, another option for a 1 hour call monthly. We'll go through your stack. We can talk about real estate. We can talk about stocks. We can talk about bonds. We can talk about crypto.
Yeah.
There's a ton of stuff we can talk about.
Hey, let's
Um,
hey let's address Ellie's question real quick.
okay.
You want to touch on Nick's coins?
I've invited her to come down and meet me 5 times. This is number five, and it just never happens. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
We
She seems to be busy with her government jobs and stuff. So I don't hear from her very much, and I've tried 5 times. I've tried 4 times to meet her at Tim's, and that's all failed. And then I even tried to see if I could go up to Maine and say hi to her and her husband up there. I hear they've got wicked good lobster up there, but it just never works out. There's always something going on, and so after 5 times, I don't know. I don't know if I should keep trying.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we care about Nick. We chat with her. We have group chats. We all, talk once in a blue moon. So, people get busy with lives and have other things going on. So, because I know a lot of people loved it when you guys did the shows together, and probably miss it somewhat, but it would be nice. Maybe we can get Nick to maybe drop in for 5 or 10 minutes and just say hello and gab it up with us one of these days.
So we'll try to get her. I know she's really busy right now. She also had some major health issues with her eye for a while,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
she wasn't able to connect on that. But we're still friends. It's just it's tough. And just so you guys know, I mean, like Maine is basically Canada. That's where she lives. It's not. I mean, she seems to be very drawn to Boston, but it's still hours and hours for her to drive and come down. It's not like a quick hour drive or something. It's much longer than that.
Yeah, it's not a
Um,
15 down the road kind of thing.
no, it's like something that's got to be planned, and she's got to get a hotel or something if she's coming down or whatever else. But I even invited her to a Red Sox game for tonight. I'm like, take you and Tony out to a Red Sox game. Let's go. It didn't happen, but
No, it's Mr. Nick to you.
yeah, Mr. Nick, exactly. So Mr. Nick. But anyway, Sean's Precious Bullion, when I get out to your way, which is it's going to be soon, um, uh, probably early November, we'll definitely do a live stream from Maryland. That'd be pretty cool.
There you go. Yeah, I like Sean. Hello, Sean. I get to say
So
talk to you in person. So yeah, I had fun. We'll do this again. It'll be more fun when we get to score a good, nice silver deal. We can offer good prices on bullion if we ever get it again. I'm sold out right now. I don't have any,
yeah, no,
which is
we'll keep
which is
working on
unusual.
stuff. And if you guys are looking for good prices on gold and silver, excuse me, let us know. Oftentimes we find some really good prices. I've tried to start like a little club, buying
Yeah,
club. I don't know if anybody that watches this wants to buy metals or not, or if you guys just like to talk about what you have.
yeah, but because
Um,
we're not geared
we
up for
get
doing that kind of stuff. We've tried.
we've tried and we kind of gave up on it, but honestly, our prices have beaten everybody. No one's ever beaten our prices on anything,
No,
as far as what we buy or we sell. But it's not a big business, right? It's not. It's something I mostly help OC with and kind of doing.
and this
But
and here's the sucky part. Let's just say that we can sell something at $1 below spot, which is a great price. But then, okay, you live in Florida, and it's going to cost $19 a ship, and you're buying a tube at 20, so you're back to buying it at spot. So there's pitfalls to
yeah,
doing
it's got
this.
to be more. Yeah, it's
I,
got to be
I
more volume.
I wish we all lived within a half hour of each other. We could meet and do deals all day long, but it's just not that way. There's not enough people doing this that we can do that. And like I said, it's great that I got you a great price, but it sucks. We gotta eat up your profits or part of it, or you gotta sit on it for a while to get your money back because we gotta pay for bloody shipping, and then heaven forbid it gets lost. So we're here for you. We want to help you if you guys need our help. Like I said, you can call. I'll put my um, maybe you can put my OC Stacker email, and if people want to, they can text you or I mean email you or email myself. We're both here to help you. I'm a behind the scenes kind of guy. I don't get on this. Like I said, this is our first time doing something together.
Yeah, I think yours is what it's two O's
Yep,
stacker at gmail.com.
yep, yep. So
Yeah.
it's easy.
So you can email OC, and then guys, I mean, so much of this it's about community. Um and we have people on the East Coast, we've got people on the West Coast. You can tell the East Coast people have fallen off because the streams died down a
Hmm.
bit. Um but it's about helping each other. It's about learning from each other on this stuff, right? I mean, we're all figuring this out. You know, eh, I bought too expensive of stuff to start off with, and then realized it's not going up in value and other stuff is. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. Let's educate people on it. And, there's the Wounded Warrior Project. We used to have a lot of auction channels. Those have all died down because no one's buying
Yep,
anymore,
yep,
honestly.
yep.
Um, and so I think a lot of people that are stackers are looking at it, and it's really hard to buy silver at $50 an ounce when you were buying it at 20 or lower. So times change and we figure things out. But what I would encourage all of you guys to do is take a look at your stacks, look and see if you've hit your goals. I'd really watch things over the next couple weeks because technically we should see a pullback, but it almost looks like it's not going to happen. And I'm concerned about that because I want to buy more, but I don't really want to pay these prices. But I also don't want to be buying silver at $100 either. So,
Yeah.
um, but I'll continue to do that. I never wanted to buy gold over 2,000, but I have. So it becomes one of those things where you want to hit the goals, right? And then you got to look after that and say, okay, after I've hit my goals, I get to 20% gold, for example, and silver. You
Dude,
know, if you
I
have more money that comes in, do you keep adding to it, or are you going to go buy stocks with it? Like, what are you going to go, put it into?
yeah, I
So,
remember I remember buying gold at $2,000, and I was talking about a deal I did, and nickel stacking goes, "I can't believe you paid $2,000 for gold." I said, "Well, it's going up. I believe in it, and look where it's at right now. This is probably what, a year and a half ago at the most. It's gone crazy. And when I started heavily stacking, silver was 15, 16, $17 an ounce, and I was buying it with both fists back then.
and I guess the last thing I'll tell you guys too, this is not financial advice. This is just my thoughts. Um, at this point, I'd be selling other stuff before I sell my metals. Now, sometimes I am in a crunch and I need some cash, and I've had to sell some of my metals. That's a different situation. But because I end up buying stuff back shortly after that, it's usually a short pinch, and I'm trying to get myself so I don't have those issues. But we have a lot of medical stuff that kind of creeps in. But what I would recommend doing is making sure that you have your goals in mind. But if I had a bunch of stocks and I have a bunch of metals, and all of a sudden I need a new car because my car is broken,
Hmm.
um, personally, I'd be selling my stocks, not my metals. If I had a rental that wasn't really performing really well, I'd
Hmm.
consider probably selling that and holding on to my metals. If I had old things in my garage that I could sell, I would probably look at selling those things instead of selling my metals. So, I don't think we're at the top of gold and silver. I think we're the very beginning of a bull market. And I'm still expecting to see gold somewhere between 8 and 12,000, maybe even 15 to 20,000. And I'm looking to see silver somewhere between 150 to $300 and potentially even up to $2,000. And I'm not planning on those numbers. I'm not building my life around them.
Hmm.
But because those numbers are drastically higher than we're at now, I'm okay still buying. But I'm more prescriptive on what I buy. I'm not going to go pay premium for something like this,
Yep. Yep.
but I will win it. This
It.
Tiger Stacker sent this to me, so I'll do a quick shout out to
Yeah.
Tiger. There's Tiger.
There you go. Yeah,
Um,
I'm not gonna pay $5 more for a piece of silver because it has a tiger on it. Like I said,
no,
alfalfa,
I'm done with that
Spanky,
stuff.
Goofy, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I could care less. ET. Are they cool? Yeah. They're novelties. Absolutely. Is it art? Everything is art. Art for me are the people that spend the time like Mentally Corrupted, Ginger Snap, Cartier Silver, um, Capital Currency. These guys that do the Broke Stacker. These guys all do great pours. And what better way to support your community? Are you paying more for it? Yes, you are. But you're supporting them and you're getting something that you kind of like. That is my weakness. My weakness is our pores and reverse proof. And with that, we're gonna sign off because I know you got to get to bed, and
Yep.
you and I could chat till 3 in the morning.
No,
Not
we're
bad
we're
enough.
just hitting the hour
Yeah.
mark, so it's a perfect time.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
I'm pretty much going to lose my voice.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you everybody for coming out. Hit the
Absolutely.
subscribe bell icon, thumbs up, all that good stuff. We'll
There you
try to
go.
get a few more shows out like this. And yeah, sometimes we're going to ramble because we're just tired and it's late at night. And you guys ask a bunch of questions that you want answered. So,
Yeah. I like
bring your questions and
I like the
we'll do another
one-on-one.
one soon.
Yeah, I like addressing that and helping them. People get to know us better and where our heart lies. And you may like us, you may not. But
And we'll
it,
get OC set up so he can show something besides a gray background.
yeah, I do have a bunch of stuff to look at. I have maybe I'll show off all my pores on my desk. They're all my favorites.
Yeah, we'll get him set up so the camera can point to something and do that, and then he can show you guys a bunch of cool coins too.
I might show my hands, but I'll have to get my wife's permission.
Oh my gosh, no one's gonna find you by your hands, I promise.
I know.
I will talk to her for you. But okay, last thing. When we were at Tim's yesterday, someone did come up and go, "Oh, I didn't know you were Yankee until I saw your hands." I was like, "Okay, that's funny."
Too funny. Good night, everybody.
All right, see you guys. Peace out.